You don't fail because you lack talent. You fail because you quit too early.
This is something that is important to get done, and we should just keep doing it or die trying. And I don't need a source of strength.
So quitting is not even like...
It's not in my nature.
I believe the greatest talent that you can draw a line through all the people who have won, all of them have in common, they develop the talent, and yes, it is a talent, it is a skill of not quitting.
Don't have a quitting mind. Repetition every day. Stay hard.
Every time it gets hard, you slow down, you doubt yourself, or stop completely.
You can choose a life of ease and comfort, or you can choose a life of service and adventure. Which one of those, when you're 90 years old, are you going to be more proud of?
The truth is, I have the companies that I have today because I was willing to get hard. The right thing is almost always the hardest thing to do.
I don't doubt myself. I don't doubt what I can do. Does that mean that I can do everything? No. When doubt appears, I'll eliminate it.
If you keep doing that, success will always stay just out of reach. In the next 3 hours, you'll learn how to stop quitting early and build the discipline that creates real success. If you've been here before, drop a hashtag Believe in the comments below so I can feature you here in a future video. And if you're new, welcome to Believe Nation, the only channel that helps you believe in yourself daily, one video at a time. You do not lack discipline. You just have a terrible daily environment.
They say we're creatures of our environment. You believe that post? Yes, I am a creature of my environment.
You're the boss in your apartment, right? No matter what, no matter how little it is, whether it's a big house or a little house, that space right there, you're the boss. Right. That's what your business is. That's what your life is. You create the space so you can control it. You control your environment, but you have to architect that.
The space you choose to work in can seriously impact your productivity and your mood.
Structuring your surroundings to make good choices automatic is the real secret behind every millionaire that you admire.
You don't have to be the victim of your environment. You can also be the architect of it.
Your brain is a record of your environment.
Who you surround yourself matters. What content you consume matters.
If you keep fighting against a broken routine, you stay stuck exactly where you are for the next 10 years.
Growth requires deliberate habits. If you don't know your routines, how are you supposed to ever feel your best?
No one can live without a routine. You just forget that. If you guys don't have a routine, I would recommend, you get one going.
In 2006, doctors at the Massachusetts General Hospital wanted to improve the eating habits of thousands of staff members and visitors. They did not talk to anyone about willpower or motivation. They simply changed the physical environment. They added bottled water to every single refrigerator right next to the soda. Within 6 months, soda sales dropped and water sales skyrocketed. They proved that you often choose things not because of what they are, but simply because of where they are in your environment. Now, I can hear your doubts right now. You might be telling yourself that you've tried routines, you've bought the planners, and you always fall off track after a couple days. But your systems did not fail because you are weak. They failed because you designed them for the perfect version of yourself, not the tired and stressed out version of yourself. When you build a system based on your actual reality, it does the heavy lifting for you. Let me show you how to structure your day so that success becomes completely automatic. Stop chasing goals and start building a daily machine. Goals are completely useless for changing your daily behavior. You have probably set massive goals for your business before. You wrote them down, you felt a huge rush of motivation, and you pictured how amazing your life was going to be. But a goal only tells you where you want to go. It does absolutely nothing to help you take the physical steps to get there. When you only focus on the goal, you put yourself in a constant state of failure. You wake up every single day realizing that you are still not a millionaire. You still do not have a massive audience and you are still struggling. And that gap between where you are and where you want to be creates massive anxiety for people. The most successful entrepreneurs in the world do not focus just on their goals. They focus on their systems. A system is just a repeatable process that guarantees you take action regardless of how you feel. There's a fascinating study from the British Journal of Health Psychology that showed how people build new habits. The researchers divided people into different groups to see who would stick to a workout routine. One group was just told to track their workouts. Another group was given motivational speeches to boost their desire to exercise. The final group was told to create a specific system. They had to write down the exact day, time, and location that they would work out. The results were pretty shocking. The motivation group only had a 35% success rate, but the group that built a simple system had a 91% success rate. You do not need more motivation to build your business. You just need to decide exactly when and where you are going to do the work. So when I started my YouTube channel, I didn't have a goal to reach 4 million subscribers. If I'd focused on that massive number, I would have quit in the first month. Instead, I built a system. My system was simply to create and upload a new video every single week at the beginning. Now we do every day. My first videos were terrible. I was awkward and shy and completely embarrassed to watch myself on camera. But my purpose comes from my pain. I struggled so much when I was starting my first software company. I wanted to quit. I felt totally isolated and alone, and I knew there were other entrepreneurs out there feeling the exact same pain. I wanted to help them. I wanted to help you. So I stuck to my system. I made 350 videos before I was finally not embarrassed by my own content. I made 700 videos before I actually inspired myself. I did not win because I had better goals than anyone else. I won because my system forced me to put in the reps when nobody else was watching. If you want to finally break free from the cycle of starting and stopping, you must build a system that tells you exactly what to do every single morning. Your system will build your momentum. Once you have momentum, becoming successful is just a matter of time. That leads me directly into the next system you need to build. Design your environment for the lazy version of you. You always try to design your life for the perfect version of yourself. You assume you will wake up full of energy, ready to crush your tasks and completely immune to distractions. But that perfect version of you is not real. You need to design your systems for the tired, stressed, and lazy version of yourself. When you are exhausted, your brain will always choose the path of least resistance. If your guitar is in a closet, you will never practice. If your camera is packed away in a bag, you will never record a video. If you have to search for your client list, you will never make your sales call. You have to remove all the friction between you and the work. I want to share a powerful concept from an IT developer named Oswald Knuckles. He created a daily system called resetting the room. Whenever he finished watching television, he does not just turn it off. He puts the remote back on the stand, fixes the pillows, and folds the blanket. Whenever he takes a shower, he wipes down the toilet while the water is warming up. He does not view this as cleaning. He views this as preparing the room for his next action. He intentionally designs his environment so that his future choices are as easy as possible. You must apply this exact same system to your business. When you finish working for the day, clear your desk. Open the exact software you need for the next morning. Leave your notes right next to your keyboard. When you sit down the next day, you will not have to think about what to do. The work will already be waiting for you. This is also how you protect your mindset. Lack of belief is the biggest problem in the world right now. It's what I believe. Your current environment is perfectly designed to keep you exactly where you are. If you want to change your life, you have to radically change what you feed into your mind. Set up your environment so that success and belief are impossible to ignore. So every single morning I have a system where the very first thing I do is play a video of someone who inspires me. I call it my Believe Walk. Get up, go outside for at least 15 minutes, put on something that inspires you. I listen to Steve Jobs or Elon Musk or Les Brown. I do not leave my inspiration up to chance. I manufacture my belief by designing an environment that forces me to think bigger. The 10-minute mental cleanse system. You are probably carrying hundreds of uncompleted tasks in your head right now. You are thinking about the emails you need to send, the videos you need to film, the clients that you need to get on and call, the bills you need to pay. This creates a massive amount of mental static and stress. When your brain is overloaded with things that are not finished, you literally cannot focus on the task that's right in front of you. This is a psychological phenomenon called the Zeigarnik effect. In the 1920s, a psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik noticed that waiters in a restaurant could remember complex, unpaid orders with perfect accuracy. But the exact moment the bill was paid, the waiters completely forgot the order. Your brain is programmed to constantly remind you of unfinished tasks until you either complete them or put them into a trusted system. To stop this mental drain, you need to build a mental cleanse system. Take 10 minutes every single evening to write down every single thought, idea, and obligation floating around in your head. Do not organize them yet. Just get them out of your brain and onto a piece of paper. This simple act tells your brain that the information is safe. Your brain will finally stop reminding you about these tasks and your anxiety will disappear. Once everything is written down, pick the one most important task that will actually move your business forward. Circle it. That becomes your only focus for the next morning. Everything else can wait. Now, you're probably an overthinker. You get these bold, powerful, and courageous ideas, but instead of acting on them, you sit and think. You analyze the risks, you worry about what people will say, and you let the idea die. You have to trust that great ideas flow through you for a reason. When you get a great idea, you must take one small physical step towards it within 5 minutes. Buy the domain name, record a rough voice memo, send an email to a potential partner. Lock the idea into reality before your mind can talk you out of it. When you stop storing your ideas in your head and start putting them into the physical world, your entire business will transform. But even the best productivity system will fail if you do not have the right foundation. This brings me to the most important system of all. Build a system that forces you to serve others. If your only goal is to make money, you will quit as soon as the process gets painful. Entrepreneurship is incredibly hard. You will face rejection, you will lose money, and you will have days where you want to shut everything down. In those dark moments, wanting a bigger bank account will not give you the strength to keep going. You are built to serve. You want to wake up every single day and feel like your life actually matters to somebody else. When you make your business about helping other people, you tap into this unlimited source of energy. Researchers at the Wharton School of Business conducted a fascinating study on university call center employees. These employees were tasked with calling alumni to ask for donations. The job was highly stressful and had a huge turnover rate. The researchers brought in a student who had received a scholarship funded by those exact donations. The student simply talked to the employees for 5 minutes about how their scholarship had changed his life. Over the next month, the employees who met the student increased their total revenue by 171%. They did not get better scripts. They did not get better training. They simply realized that their work was actually changing a human life. Money is incredibly important. You need money to hire a team, scale your impact, and take care of your family. Money can absolutely be in your top 5 priorities. I think it actually has to be. It just can't be number one. Your number one priority must be the mission. You must have a cause that you would fight for even if you were not getting paid. You need to systemize your service. Make it a mandatory part of your daily system to help one person with zero expectation of getting anything in return. Answer a question in a forum. Leave a detailed comment on a small creator's video, or send an encouraging message to a client or a friend. When you focus intensely on who you are serving, your fear of failure goes away. You stop worrying about looking perfect on camera because you realize the message is more important than your ego. Your business will explode the moment you realize that your true job is just to pull other people out of the same dark hole you used to be in. But even the best mindset will fail if you give up too early. Track your actions and ignore your results. Your obsession with immediate results is destroying your long-term potential. So you start a new routine, you work incredibly hard for 2 weeks, and then you turn around and realize nothing has changed. You still do not have the sales, you still do not have the audience, and your bank account looks exactly the same. So you decide the system is broken and you quit. But the system is not broken. You are just expecting to see the harvest while you are still planting the seeds. So in the science of continuous improvement, there is a concept known as the plateau of latent potential. When you first build a new system, your results will flatline for a long period of time. You will put in massive amounts of effort and see absolutely zero external reward. This is where 99% of people give up. But your effort is not being wasted. Your effort is being stored. When I first started my journey, I tracked my year-over-year growth. After 5 years of making content consistently, I only had a few thousand subscribers. Most people would look at those numbers and call me a complete failure. If I had judged my success purely by those results, I would have quit like 1,000 times over. But I did not track my results. I tracked my actions. I focused entirely on the fact that I showed up and I did the work I promised myself that I would do. You have to love the process of building your business. If you only love the reward, you will never survive the years of grinding in the dark. You must be completely stubborn about why you are doing this, but incredibly flexible about how you get there. Build a system where your only definition of a successful day is whether or not you executed your daily habits. When you stop obsessing over the outcome and start obsessing over the daily inputs, your success becomes absolutely inevitable. Your ultimate engine. You already have everything inside you to do something truly legendary. You just have to stop waiting for permission and start building the routines that guarantee your victory. Trust that your ideas matter and take immediate action on them today. I believe in you and know you can build the life you dream about. You wake up every day ready to hustle. You're grinding, putting in the hours, chasing your goals, but here's the big question. How do you know you're focusing on the right thing? Are you making real progress or just staying busy? You might be climbing the ladder of success as fast as you can. As Stephen Covey warned, if the ladder is not leaning against the right wall, every step we take just gets us to the wrong place faster. Today, let's ensure your ladder is on the right wall. This topic actually comes from one of you, Mariciel Padalaga. A member of our community asked, how do you know you're focusing on the right thing? So, Maricel, and everyone else who's wondering this, let's dive in and figure this out together in a practical, motivational, and science-backed way. Busy versus productive. Are you doing what matters? First, let's distinguish between being busy from being productive. It's easy to fill your day with tasks and feel like you're working hard. Emails, meetings, errands, you can do a lot and still accomplish little that truly matters. Management guru Peter Drucker said it best. There is nothing so useless as doing efficiently what should not be done at all. In other words, being efficient on the wrong tasks is a waste. Focus is not about doing more things, it's about doing the right things. Think about it. Have you ever spent a whole day checking off a long to-do list, yet at night you wonder, did any of that really push me forward? Did it even matter? We've all been there. It's possible to be very busy without being effective. If you're climbing and grinding but not seeing results that matter, you might be focusing on the wrong thing. One sign is you feel overwhelmed and burned out, but not accomplished. According to a Harvard study, between 25 and 50% of people report feeling overwhelmed at work. You don't want to be incredibly busy, but incredibly ineffective. So ask yourself honestly, am I busy for the sake of being busy, or am I getting closer to my big goal? Here's a pro tip for you. Before you put something on your calendar or your to-do list, pause and ask yourself, if I do this task all day, will I be closer to my goal at the end of the day? If not, it might not be the right thing to focus on. The power of focus, what the successful do. Let's talk about why focusing on the right thing is so crucial and how successful people attribute their success to focus. I spent years studying and interviewing top entrepreneurs and leaders for my top 10 rules of success series. One thread I found, focus keeps coming up over and over as a key to success. In fact, there's a famous story where Bill Gates and Warren Buffett were at dinner and each asked to write down one word that led to their success. Both of them wrote focus. No discussion, no coordination. Two of the richest, most successful people on the planet independently gave the same answer. That's how important focus is. And they're not alone. Steve Jobs, the visionary co-founder of Apple, famously said, people think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on. But that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas there are. Jobs was as proud of the things Apple didn't do as the things they did. Why? Because he knew that innovation and success meant picking the right thing and saying no to distractions. When everything is a priority, nothing is. The right focus often means courageously eliminating even good options that aren't the best for you. Warren Buffett has a great approach to this as well. He once advised his personal pilot, Mike Flint, to list his top 25 career goals. Then Buffett told him to circle the top 5 and avoid the other 20 at all costs. Those 20 good but not great goals are the shiny objects that tempt us and diffuse our focus. Buffett's message was this: focus on your top 5 and ignore the rest until you succeed with those. It's about intentionally choosing what not to focus on so you free up energy for what truly matters. Here's another powerful example. Bruce Lee once said, I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. Mastery comes from depth, not breadth. Whether you're learning a skill or building a business, focusing on one thing and doing it with intensity will beat scattering yourself across 10,000 different things. So the takeaway here is that the highest achievers credit focus as a major factor in their success. They pick the right thing, the project, the skill, the goal that will have the biggest impact, and then channel their efforts into it relentlessly. Now, how do you find your right thing? Let's talk about it. Find your why. Identify the right thing for you. Knowing you need to focus is one thing, but knowing what to focus on, that's the real crux of Marcel's question. How do you identify the right thing for you and your business or life? This is where you need to zoom out and look at the big picture of your purpose and goals. One approach that I swear by is outlined in my book, Built to Serve. In that book, I talk about the framework of who, why, and how to discover your purpose. So the who is identify who you are at your core, your single most important core value. This gives you a guidance star. The why is to understand why you do what you do. And here's a hint. Your purpose comes from your pain. Think about the most painful challenge you've overcome in life. Often your mission, which is your why, is to help others overcome that same kind of pain. If you struggled with something and you found the solution, you'll likely feel passionate about sharing that solution or easing that pain for others. As Built to Serve explains, transforming your personal pain into a mission to help others gives you a purpose-driven focus. And then it's the how. Figure out how you will serve, the actions or business that allow you to live that purpose. So in my book, Built to Serve, I explain how finding your who, your core value, your why, your purpose from pain, and how, your vehicle to serve, gives you clarity on where to focus. When you align your work with your purpose, you know you're on the right path. If what you're working on connects to your deepest values and helps people, including yourself, in an area that truly matters to you, chances are you're focusing on the right thing. You'll feel it, a sense of meaning, even if it's hard work. As an entrepreneur or creator, the right thing to focus on is usually the thing that adds the most value to others and fulfills you. It's the intersection of what you're good at, what you love, and what makes an impact. So a quick exercise. Ask yourself, why is this goal important to me? 5 times. Keep drilling down. If you're building a business, why is it important? To make money. Why is making money important? To provide for my family and achieve freedom. Okay, why is freedom important? Because I want to create, I want to help others without constraints. Aha, so maybe helping others or creating is at the core. This method, similar to Toyota's 5 whys technique, can reveal if the thing you're doing is connected to a strong why. If after a few whys you land on a reason that deeply resonates, you've likely found a worthy focus. If you struggle to find a good why, that might be a red flag that the thing isn't truly aligned with what matters to you. Also, think about your core values. One strategy I've shared in the past is to distill your values down to one core word. For me, that word is belief. It reminds me to focus on projects that inspire belief in myself and others. For you, maybe that word is service or creativity or freedom or something else. Use your one word as a filter. The right thing for you to focus on will align with the core value. If your word is service and you're spending most of your time on something that doesn't help anyone, you might be off track. If your word is innovation and you realize you haven't created anything new in months because you're bogged down in admin work, that's a sign to refocus. In short, to identify the right thing, get clear on who you are and what you want in the big picture. Set a clear direction. As the saying goes, begin with the end in mind. Once you have that, the next step is making sure your goals and priorities line up with that vision. Set clear goals and priorities. Having a clear goal is like having a target for your focus. Clarity is power. When you know exactly what you want, it's much easier to see which actions will get you there and which won't. According to decades of research by psychologists Edwin Locke and Gary Latham, setting specific goals can increase performance and productivity by 11 to 25%. That's a huge boost just from being clear about your target. Why? Because goals give you direction and help you prioritize. As one summary of their study put it, goals tell us exactly where we want to go. When we know where we're trying to go, we get there much more quickly. So step 1 is decide on a clear goal. What's the one thing that if you achieved it would make the biggest positive difference in your life or business? It could be a revenue milestone, it could be launching your product, it could be mastering a certain skill, or even a personal goal like writing a book. Whatever it is, write it down. Make it specific, make it meaningful. This goal is now your North Star, the right thing that you want to be aiming at. Next, we want to prioritize ruthlessly. Not everything on your plate contributes equally to your goal. This is where the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule, comes in handy. The 80-20 rule states that 80% of the outcomes come from 20% of the causes. In practical terms, roughly 20% of your activities produce 80% of your results. So your job is to figure out what that 20% is for you, those vital few tasks that drive your goal forward, and focus on those while minimizing the rest. For example, if you're an entrepreneur, maybe 2 out of your 10 projects bring in the most of your revenue. Focus on those. If you're trying to get healthy, a few key habits like exercising daily, eating whole foods will give most of the benefits rather than obsessing over 20 different supplements and hacks. So how do you prioritize the right thing? Number 1, brainstorm your tasks and projects. List out all the major things you spend time on or you're planning on. Include ongoing tasks and new ideas that are swirling around in your head. Number 2, link each task to your main goal or your purpose. So for each item, ask, does this significantly help me achieve my main goal or fulfill my key purpose? Be brutally honest. If the connection is weak, mark that task as lower priority. And number 3, apply the 80-20 rule. Identify which tasks create the most of your desired outcomes. Which tasks, when done well, drive the needle the furthest. Circle these. These are likely your right things. And then number 4, rank your priorities. Try Warren Buffett's approach. Pick your top 5 priorities that truly matter. Then commit to focus on those and avoid the others, no matter how tempting they are, until your top priorities are secure. It might hurt to put aside a cool project idea or say no to a decent opportunity, but remember Steve Jobs and say no to 100 other good ideas. Focus requires sacrifice. Number 5, schedule the important task. Take your number 1 priority task and block time for it first thing in the morning or as early as possible. This is sometimes called eating the frog, a concept from Brian Tracy, meaning you tackle your most important and usually toughest task first thing when you have the most energy. If you schedule the most important thing first, you ensure that it gets done before distractions and lower value tasks start to creep in. By setting clear goals and ordering your priorities, you create a roadmap for what the right thing is. It gives you a filter to decide when new tasks come up, whether they deserve your focus or not. Learn to say no. Guard your focus. Once you know what your right thing is, your priorities and goals, the hardest part can be protecting that focus. Distractions will come. Other people's agendas will try to knock you off course. Unexpected opportunities, some good, some not so good, will appear. Here is where you must channel your inner Steve Jobs or Warren Buffett and exercise the power of no. Remember, every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're saying no to something important because your time and energy are finite. It's okay to decline meetings that don't serve your goals, to turn down clients who aren't the right fit for you, or to postpone a cool side project if it steals focus from your main thing. This is not easy. It takes confidence and it takes clarity, but it pays off big time. Steve Jobs' quote again is instructive. Focus is about saying no to the 100 other good ideas out there. He understood that Apple couldn't chase every opportunity. They famously cut down their product lines to just a few key products that could really put their dent in the universe with. You can do the same on a personal scale. Figure out what activities, what commitments, what ideas are not contributing to your top 5 priorities and start gently but firmly eliminating or deferring them. Warren Buffett's avoid at all costs list of 20 things is a great visual reminder. Maybe literally make yourself a not to do list. Write down those tempting tasks or habits that you're not going to focus on right now so you don't forget and accidentally slip into them. Post it somewhere that is visible. Also, consider the people around you. Sometimes focusing on the right thing means setting boundaries with other people. If coworkers, friends, or even family are pulling you in a direction that conflicts with your main focus, you need to have some conversations. For example, if you're focusing on building your startup on weekends, you might have to say no to some social events. If you're focusing on writing a book, you might need to decline doing some extra freelance work that would eat up that writing time. It's tough, but true friends and supporters will understand when you explain why you're saying no. Remember your why from earlier. And here's a tip. Try using a positive no. So for example, I'm honored you invited me to speak at that event, but I have to say no this time so I can concentrate on finishing my product launch this month. I want to give it my all. You acknowledge the request and give your reason, which ties back to your important focus. Every yes and no shapes your future, so be intentional. As you practice saying no to distractions or lesser priorities, you'll find an empowering thing happens. You free up massive energy to pour into the things that truly matter. You'll make progress faster and with more peace of mind because you're not constantly torn in a million different directions. Single tasking and deep work. Be present on the right thing. Now that you've identified the right thing and cleared some space for it, let's talk about how you focus when it's time to do the work. It's not just what you focus on, but how you manage your attention that determines your success. So in our modern world, distractions, they're everywhere. You've got your phone notifications, emails, social media. We have a multitasking culture. But study after study shows that multitasking is a myth. Trying to do several things at once usually means you do all of them poorly. And MIT neuroscientist Earl Miller explained that our brains cannot focus on two things simultaneously. What we actually do is just switch rapidly between the tasks. And this task switching has a cognitive cost. You lose time and you make more errors when you juggle tasks, even if it feels like you're doing a lot. In fact, when you multitask, you can lose up to 40% of your productivity. Think about that. You could be almost half as productive trying to do 2 or 3 things at once compared to doing them all at a time. According to an infographic by the University of California, Irvine, it takes on average 23 minutes to refocus on a task after a distraction. Imagine how much focus time you lose if you keep checking your phone or bouncing between projects. So the habit to build is single tasking, or what author Cal Newport calls deep work. This means when you work on your right thing, you give it your full undivided attention for a set period of time. You eliminate distractions proactively. Close your email. Put your phone on do not disturb. Maybe even disconnect from the internet if you can, unless you need it for the task. It can help to have a dedicated space or time where you do that one high-value task. Treat it as sacred, focused time. There's a great Harvard study by psychologists Matthew Killingsworth and Daniel Gilbert that found something interesting about focus and happiness. They discovered that people's minds wander 47% of the time on average. Nearly half our waking life, we're not fully present in what we're doing. And crucially, the study found that a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. When you're not present, when you're neither here nor there, thinking of other things, you tend to feel less happy. Even if your mind wanders to pleasant thoughts, it doesn't make you happier than if you just engaged in the present task. In short, being fully present in whatever you're doing not only boosts your productivity, it boosts your happiness and fulfillment. So when it's time to work on that right thing, really work on it. If you catch your mind drifting or you get an impulse to check something, gently pull yourself back. It's like training a muscle, and over time, your focus muscle gets stronger. So try this. Set a timer for 30 minutes or 60 minutes or whatever suits you, and commit to focusing on one task for that duration. No breaks, no switching up, and after the time is up, take a 5-minute break. Check whatever you need, then either continue or switch to the next important task for another focus block. This is akin to the Pomodoro technique and can work wonders for you. You'll be amazed how much you can get done in a focused 30-minute burst on the right task versus a distracted 2 hours spread across the right task plus Instagram plus random emails. Also, eliminate multitasking in other ways. So if you're working on a big project, don't also have 15 browser tabs open unrelated to it. Don't try to have a deep strategy time while also monitoring your text messages. It's like trying to drive 2 cars at once. You end up crashing both. Finally, remember to be present, not just physically, but mentally. Sometimes we allocate time for the important thing, but then sabotage ourselves by worrying and overthinking. For example, you set aside time to develop your business strategy, which is the right thing. But the whole time your mind is anxiously thinking about an email you need to send or a minor issue. So to fight this, consider a quick brain dump before your focus session. Jot down any nagging to-dos or thoughts on a notepad to get them off your mind, then promise yourself you'll handle those after your focus block. Clear mind, clear focus. Being present also applies to personal life and rest. If you're resting, really rest. Don't beat yourself up about work during downtime. And if you're with family, then be with them. This trains your brain to focus on one thing at a time, which will help you when you turn to your work focus as well. Action steps. Let's put it all together. We've covered a lot of ground here, from mindset to purpose to practical prioritization to focus techniques. Now let's consolidate this into a simple action plan that you can start today to make sure you're focusing on the right thing. Number 1, define your vision. Write down your main goal or purpose. Clarity is your starting point. What's the big win that you're after? Example, I want to grow my YouTube channels to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, empowering entrepreneurs. Or I want to launch my new app and get 10,000 users. Or I want to improve my health and run a marathon. Make sure it's something that excites you and aligns with your values. Number 2, identify the high impact activities. List all the activities that you do or plan to do related to that goal. Now circle the 20% that truly drive progress, the core value add work. Be honest with yourself here. If you're unsure, look at past data or ask mentors what really moves the needle. Double down on these core activities. Number 3, eliminate or delegate the rest. Look at the remaining 80% of activities. What can you stop doing, delegate to someone else, or do later? Free yourself from the busy work trap. For example, if you're spending hours designing your website, but your key skill is sales calls that bring in clients, consider hiring a part-time web designer. Saying no or delegating the lesser stuff is not a luxury, it's a necessity for greatness. Number 4, schedule your focus time. Take those high impact tasks and block time on your calendar specifically for them. Treat these like important appointments with yourself. If mornings are when you have the most energy, schedule your most important task first. Remember the eat the frog scenario from Brian Tracy? Protect this time from interruptions. Number 5, use focus tools and techniques. During your focus blocks, remove distractions. Close any apps you have open. Put your phone away. Maybe play some concentration music if it helps you. Try techniques like the Pomodoro technique we talked about. 25 minutes focus, 5-minute break. If you struggle with staying on task, the goal is to train your brain to stay on one target at a time. Number 6, review and adjust regularly. Every week or at least once a month, step back and review, am I getting results from what I'm working on? If not, ask why. Maybe you need to adjust your strategy. Focusing on the right thing is also about adaptability. You might find that what you thought was the right thing wasn't, and you need to pivot. That's okay. It's better to realize and adjust than keep grinding in the wrong direction. Use any feedback or data you get. So for example, if you spent a month focusing on a marketing channel and it's not yielding results, maybe the right thing to do is shift to a different marketing channel. Constant course correction is part of the journey. By following these steps, you create a cycle of continuous realignment with your right thing. It's like you're a ship at sea, you have a destination, you've mapped out the best route, and you steer the ship daily, and you course correct when the winds change. This way you know you're focusing on the right thing because you've thought it through and you're paying attention to the outcomes. Trust yourself and believe. At the end of the day, knowing if you're focusing on the right thing comes down to clarity and trust. Clarity in what you want and what matters, and trust in yourself that you've made the best choice you can. Once you've done the work to identify your top priority, commit to it fully. Don't second guess yourself every hour. That only drains your energy. Instead, give it your all. Measure your progress over weeks and months, not minutes. Believe that the course you've set is the right one, and it will reveal itself through results and fulfillment. Remember Marcel's question. She's looking for that confidence that she's not wasting time on the wrong thing. The fact that you're even asking that question means that you're conscientious and self-aware. That is a great sign. It means you care about your direction and you're not willing to live life on autopilot. Use that as motivation to be deliberate with your focus. Most people never even ask if they're on the right thing. They just drift, but not you. You're taking charge of your focus and thus your destiny. In Built to Serve, I wrote that humans are built to serve and make a difference. When you find the path where you can contribute the most and feel the most alive, you found the right thing. Pour your heart into it. Will it be hard? Yes. There will be boring days. There will be doubters. There'll be moments. You'll question yourself even. But when you are on the right thing, you'll also experience moments of flow, of deep satisfaction, of signs that you're making an impact. Cherish those and use them as the fuel to keep going. And if you do realize, hey, I've been climbing the wrong ladder, don't worry. It's never too late to reposition that ladder. Some of the most successful people change focus after years in one area. The key is they recognized it and they took action. You can always refocus when you gain new insight. It's part of growth. To sum it up, focus on what matters most, your purpose, your top goals, the few key actions that create the biggest results. Say no to the rest, or at least not now. Work with intense focus in the moment, one thing at a time. Back your focus with belief in your vision and in yourself. And as you do this, you will start seeing progress. You'll feel more in control, less chaotic. You'll wake up knowing, yes, I am on the right path. And that confidence will give you even more momentum. Success, impact, and fulfillment are all about consistent focus on what truly matters. You've got this. Now go out there, make those tough choices, zero in on your mission, and make it happen. And whenever you feel in doubt, remember why you started and believe.
Motivation is overrated. It's a fake friend that shows up when things are exciting and then disappears the minute work gets tough. We've been taught to chase that fired up feeling, but those who win aren't motivated all the time. They're consistent. So if you keep waiting until you feel inspired, you will watch opportunities pass you by while someone else with half your talent, but twice your consistency blows past you.
Think I'm wrong? Look at one of the most successful comedians ever, Jerry Seinfeld. When a young comic asked Seinfeld for his secret, Jerry didn't say get motivated. He said write every day. Don't break the chain. He hung a huge calendar on his wall and put a red X on it for every day that he wrote jokes. After a few days, he had a chain, and his only job was to never break it. It didn't matter if the jokes were great or if he felt funny that day. It didn't matter if he was motivated or not. All that mattered was showing up and writing. That unsexy daily habit helped fuel years of consistent, high-level performance. Seinfeld's consistency beat motivation, and that's a big reason he became one of the greats. Now, you might say, sure, Evan, but I'm no Jerry Seinfeld. Fair. So let me share something personal from myself. I don't wake up motivated either. Not even close. People think I leap out of bed on fire. I don't. And that surprised me too at first. I mean, I love what I do. Why aren't I pumped every single morning? And eventually I realized that what matters is that I do something about it. So I engineered a morning habit to kick my butt into gear. So before I check email or Instagram or even think about the day, I feed my mind something inspiring. It might be a clip of Steve Jobs or Howard Schultz or Elon Musk as I go outside on what I call my believe walk. But every single day, I watch something that makes me believe. I've also unfollowed any accounts that make me feel negative. Why? Because I know motivation won't magically be there when I need it. I have to cultivate it with habits, with boring routines that guarantee I start my day feeling bold and confident. And you know what? It works. Even on the days when I wake up in a funk, those habits snap me out of it and get me moving. So maybe you're thinking, okay, but aren't entrepreneurs supposed to be free spirits? I became my own boss to avoid boring routines. I hear you. A lot of entrepreneurs, they like to rebel against structure. And the idea of doing the same thing every day sounds suffocating when you love and crave creativity and freedom. But discipline equals freedom. Having a few steady habits doesn't make you a robot. It frees up your brain power so you can actually be creative where it counts. Without basic routines, you waste energy deciding when or whether to work, fighting distractions, riding emotional highs and lows. It becomes exhausting. Meanwhile, your competitor has already banged out their boring morning tasks and moved on to innovating, right? Consistency becomes your equalizer. Just remember, the genius who works only when they're inspired will always lose to the persistent entrepreneur who grinds out the basics daily. The boring stuff is the foundation on which exciting success is built. So let's dive in, let's get practical and look at the 11 boring habits that will skyrocket your entrepreneurial progress. These are the habits that make motivation almost irrelevant because you'll be making progress regardless of how you feel on any given day. You ready? Let's dive in. Number 1, show up every day. Consistency beats inspiration. Successful entrepreneurs have one thing in common. They show up, especially on days they don't want to. It sounds simple, but it's everything. Top performers in every field, athletics, CEOs, artists, are more consistent than their peers. They deliver day after day while everyone else battles procrastination and waits to feel ready. If you want results, make showing up a non-negotiable. Rain or shine, in the mood or not, you do something that moves your business forward daily. It could be as small as one sales call or one page of writing, but do it without fail. Consistency creates your momentum, and momentum beats motivation. Remember the Seinfeld story. He didn't wait on inspiration to strike. He built a habit so he couldn't flake out. And then with my own story, when I started on YouTube, I was nobody. Year 1, I had 25 subscribers. Year 5, 2,000 subscribers. 5 years on YouTube, and practically no one cared. I was putting up videos every week and still hearing crickets. Any motivated person would have quit. I definitely felt like quitting. I was embarrassed. And fun fact, I couldn't even watch my first 350 videos back because I cringed at how bad I thought they were. But I kept showing up. And honestly, the only thing I had going for me was that I just didn't stop. I just kept going. And slowly, those small numbers grew. After 5 years, I hit 2,000 subscribers. Then things finally started to pop. And now it's over 4 million. That didn't come from a lightning bolt of inspiration. It came from consistent action long after that initial excitement of making videos wore off. So build the habit of showing up. Make your calls, create your content, improve your product daily. Even if progress is slow, you're laying bricks. And brick by brick, if you don't quit, you can build your cathedral. Number 2, plan your day. Don't wing it. Never start your day without a plan. This is a boring habit that prevents a ton of stress and wasted time. If you wake up and dive into work with no clear priorities, you'll gravitate to whatever is easiest, your emails, social media, and convince yourself that you are busy while the real important tasks sit untouched. Sound familiar? Instead, plan your day in advance, either the night before or first thing in the morning. List out the key tasks that will make the day a win. Pick your top 1 to 3 priorities, the things that drive your business forward, and block time for them on your schedule. This simple habit ensures that you work intentionally rather than reacting to whatever pops up. And here's some science. Research shows that you are 2 to 3 times more likely to follow through on a new habit or goal if you plan out when and where you'll do it. Psychologists call it an implementation intention, basically a fancy term for decide exactly what you'll do, when and where. So for example, don't just say, I'll make some sales calls tomorrow. Say tomorrow at 10 a.m., I will make 5 sales calls from my desk. Lock it in your calendar. One study had people fill in the sentence, during the next week, I will exercise on day, at time, in place. Those who did this were up to 3 times more likely to actually exercise. Planning works. I do this myself every day. I know exactly when I'm filming videos or when I'm mentoring my team because it's on my calendar. If it's scheduled, it happens. If you leave it to when I feel like it, it won't. So make planning a habit every day. Know your priorities and your time slots in advance. The ROI on this 10-minute habit is huge. You'll get the important stuff done whether or not you're in the mood because you've made a commitment to yourself on paper. Number 3, win your morning. No snooze button. How you start your morning sets the tone for the entire day. Hit the snooze 5 times and scroll aimlessly. You're telling yourself it's okay to procrastinate and coast. I like to say the first thing you do each day is tell yourself it's okay not to hit your goals. If you smack that snooze button, think about it. You set a goal, your alarm. And the very first action of the day is breaking that promise. That chips away at your confidence. So here's the habit. No more snooze. When the alarm goes off, get up. Even if it sucks, especially if it sucks, because starting with a small win, getting up on time, creates a domino effect of wins. Now, once you're up, do something positive and proactive with the first 15 to 30 minutes of your day. This is your win the morning routine. It doesn't need to be a 2-hour elaborate ritual with green smoothies and sunrise, unless you want that. It could be as simple as making your bed or doing 10 push-ups or going on a believe walk like I do. Something to build a quick sense of accomplishment. Admiral McRaven famously said, if you make your bed, you've accomplished the first task of the day and the rest comes easier. In my case, I watch an inspiring video and then I try to create something. Often I'll post a quick message on Instagram or share some positivity because I want to create before I consume the world's noise. And that routine sets me up for the day, as I've shared already before. But maybe for you, it's a short meditation, a quick walk, writing in your journal. The key is that you control the start of your day. You feed your mind and body something good instead of reacting to emails or news and other people's agenda. By doing so, you leave the house or you start work feeling energized and in charge, not constantly behind the curve. Consistently winning your morning makes you far less dependent on feeling motivated later because you've already built momentum from the start. Number 4, eat the frog first. Tackle the hardest task. Every day, do the hardest, most important thing first. Right after your morning routine, dive into the task you're most likely to procrastinate on. Maybe it's making that sales call to a client who might say no. Maybe it's working on your business plan or coding a complex feature or writing a chapter of your book, making your next video. This is known as eating the frog, a term from Mark Twain that was popularized in business by Brian Tracy, friend of the channel. The idea is simple. If you have to eat a live frog every day, wouldn't you rather just get it over with? If you eat that frog first thing in the morning, you can go through the rest of your day knowing the worst is behind you. Why is this habit so powerful? Well, for one, your willpower and decision-making energy are highest in the morning. So as the day goes on, your mental resources drain and tasks feel harder. We've all felt that 4 p.m. brain fog, right? So by tackling the tough stuff first, you leverage your freshest energy on what matters most. Also, when you finish a tough task, you get a rush of accomplishment that makes you feel like a winner. It boosts your mood and confidence for everything else. On the other hand, if you avoid the hard thing and you middle around on the easy, trivial tasks, you'll carry this weight of I still haven't done X all day long, and that creates stress and guilt, which kills your motivation. I'm not gonna lie, eating the frog is never fun in a moment. Picking up the phone to call that angry customer or sitting down to crunch last quarter's financials is not thrilling for most people, but this habit builds your discipline muscle like crazy, and once the frog is done, you feel lighter and free. The rest of the day is gravy by comparison. So personally, I try to film my hardest videos or handle my most critical messages early when I'm fresh. If there's a tough conversation I need to have with a team member, I schedule it first thing. By doing the hardest thing first, you prove to yourself that you run the day doesn't run you. So do this consistently and you'll notice something. You'll stop dreading difficult tasks so much because you've conditioned yourself to attack them. And that's progress you simply can't achieve if you only work when a surge of motivation conveniently makes it feel easy for you. So tomorrow morning, identify your frog and eat it for breakfast. Number 5, move your body daily. Exercise for energy. This one might sound unrelated to business, but trust me, daily exercise is the entrepreneur's secret weapon. Building a company is not just a mental game, it's a physical endurance game too. You need energy and stamina and stress resilience, and nothing gives you that like moving your body. I don't care if it's a 20-minute walk, a gym workout, yoga, jumping on a mini trampoline in your office. Yes, I do this. I try not to jump too much while I'm making videos. The habit of getting your body active each day will boost your productivity and mood more than a cup of coffee. And you don't have to take my word for it. Take billionaire entrepreneur Richard Branson. When asked how to be more productive, Branson's answer was this: work out. He swears that exercising daily gives him 4 extra hours of productivity every day. 4 hours. Think about how huge that is over time. And Branson's not alone here. CEOs like Tim Cook, Mark Cuban, Oprah, many of the busiest, most successful people in the world make time to exercise every single day. It's not because they're fitness buffs by nature. It's because they know it sharpens their performance. And science backs this up too. Exercise improves focus for 2 to 3 hours post-workout, releases endorphins that crushes stress, and even grows new brain cells for improved memory and learning. A healthy body makes a more effective entrepreneur. So here's how you can implement it as a habit. Schedule it. Treat your exercise like an important meeting with yourself that you cannot cancel. Even if it's just a quick walk around the block at lunch or 10 minutes of stretching between Zoom calls, put it on the calendar. I like to keep things simple. So I have a 5 p.m. workout routine and I'm also on a trampoline all day long. So I'm feeling low energy or between tasks, I'll just jump out on the trampoline for a few minutes. I literally bounce on this trampoline 20,000+ times a day while I'm working. Crazy? Maybe, but it keeps my energy high, my blood flowing. The point is movement needs to become a non-negotiable. Some days you won't feel like it, you do it anyway. Those are the days you need it the most. Even a slow, boring workout counts. Consistency is what counts. Over time, you'll notice you're more alert, you're less stressed, and more motivated naturally because your body and your mind are firing on all cylinders. So get moving daily. Your business will thank you for it. Number 6, curate your input. Feed your mind, not your doubts. Entrepreneurship is hard enough. Don't make it harder by flooding your brain with garbage or negativity. Curate what you allow into your mind each day. This is a habit most people ignore. They passively scroll whatever the algorithm throws at them, watch news that freaks them out, and hang around negative people. And then they wonder why they feel discouraged or distracted, right? As an entrepreneur, you need to protect your mindset fiercely. That means deliberately choosing inspirational, educational, or uplifting inputs and cutting out the rest. I talked earlier about how I watch an inspiring video every morning to kickstart my belief on my belief walk outside. That's one way I curate my input. I'm basically brainwashing myself for success on purpose. I highly recommend you create a daily inspiration playlist for yourself. It could be videos, podcasts, audiobooks, this YouTube channel, whatever lights a fire inside you. Listen or watch even 10 minutes a day. It's a mental vitamin. And at the same time, unfollow or mute sources that constantly make you feel like crap. Doom scrolling through Instagram can leave you feeling worse about yourself. So I went through and unfollowed accounts that weren't lifting me up. Now my feed is 90% people and ideas that inspire me. And that didn't happen by accident. It was a habitual practice of curating my environment. Consider your physical environment too. Surround yourself with books or quotes or objects that remind you of your goals and your values. Some entrepreneurs put their vision board or goals list where they can see it every day. Others, like me, have little weird reminders. So I might have a belief sign or memorabilia all over my office, or the damn the Doritos bag behind me. They're not a sponsor. The idea is to create an environment that naturally triggers motivation and focus. Research shows that much of our behavior runs on autopilot triggered by environmental cues. Roughly 2/3 of what people do each day is habit, not conscious choice. So design your environmental cues. If you want to read more, leave a book on your pillow so you read at night. If you want to stop wasting evenings on TV, maybe unplug the TV and put it in the closet on weekends. Make the good behaviors easier and the bad behaviors harder. So for me, curating the inputs also also means I seek out mentors and expanders. I consume biographies of entrepreneurs that I admire to soak in their mindset. It's a habit, a little dose of greatness each day, feeding my mind. And over time, what happens is those inputs, they compound. You find yourself naturally more optimistic, more resourceful, and yes, more consistently motivated because you've conditioned your mind to focus on possibilities and solutions. Curating your input is about feeding your mind the good and starving it of the bad. It's a boring habit in that it's just consistently choosing the better media, the better conversations, the better thoughts, the better people. But wow, does it pay off in your attitude and your actions? Number 7, do one hard thing daily. Build your discipline. So make it a habit to intentionally do one uncomfortable thing each day, something that challenges you or that you'd rather avoid. Why? Because doing hard things consistently is the weightlifting for your discipline and your self-confidence. If you only ever do what's comfortable, the minute you face a real challenge in business, you will quit. But if you've built the habit of flexing your grit muscle daily, you become almost anti-fragile, right? Difficulties become easier to handle and you won't get derailed so quickly. This hard thing could be directly in your business, like that tough phone call, asking a question you're afraid to ask, working an extra hour on your craft when others would call it a day, or it could be something in your personal routine too that just sucks a bit. The cold shower in the morning, doing the early morning workout, resisting that dessert after dinner. The specific action matters less than the message that you're telling yourself. I do what is hard when I don't feel like it. I am stronger than my feelings or my temptations. One of my weird personal habits for this is the damn the Dorito strategy. I've kind of quickly alluded to it behind me here. So if you see my videos when I notice that giant unopened bag of Doritos sitting behind me, yes, it's real and it's probably years old by now and definitely stale, but it still probably tastes great. And I keep it there as a deliberate test of my willpower. So conventional wisdom says if you're avoiding junk food, remove the temptation. But I do the opposite. I leave the temptation right there and practice not giving in. I'm stronger than this Doritos, I tell myself. My mouth is watering even just thinking right now. If I can resist that craving every day, what else can I conquer? It's a daily reminder that I'm in control, not my impulses. And the high that you get from knowing that you did the difficult thing is incredible. It builds self-love and belief in a way that nothing else can. My friends have even started their own Dan the Doritos challenges. One keeps a bowl of candy on his desk without touching it. Another keeps sugar packs by his coffee maker and never uses them. It's a strange little habit, but it's powerful. Now, you don't need a Doritos bag, but find your edge and stand on it daily. Maybe you're shy, so your hard thing is initiating a conversation with a stranger each day. Maybe you hate numbers, so your hard thing is reviewing one financial metric of your business each day just to get over the fear. By doing what's hard, you prove to yourself that you can. And that discipline spills over everywhere in your life. When the inevitable big challenges in entrepreneurship come for you, your deal falls through, a product fails, a pandemic hits, you won't collapse. You'll think, I've done tough things every day. I can handle this too. And that resilience comes from the daily reps of discomfort. It's not sexy. It's definitely not fun in the moment. It's boring and often painful, but it forges you into a stronger person every single day. So ask yourself each morning, what's my hard thing today? And then do it. And over time, you'll start to crave the challenge because you'll love who you become by conquering it. Number 8, ask for help and accountability. Don't go it alone. Entrepreneurship can be a lonely road if you let it, but going it alone is a habit you don't want to start to form. In fact, make the opposite a habit. Regularly seek help, feedback, accountability from other people. Pride or fear keeps a lot of founders struggling in silence. And I know because I did this too in my journey. Early on, I was making no money. Everything was falling apart. And I was too embarrassed to tell anyone. I didn't want my friends or family to know how badly I was struggling. So I suffered alone, which only made everything harder. And I nearly broke down during that phase. In hindsight, I realized that if I had simply asked for help or even just shared what I was going through, I could have saved myself a ton of stress and maybe gotten solutions sooner. The lesson for me and for you, don't build your dream in isolation. Make it a habit to reach out. This could mean having a weekly check-in with a fellow entrepreneur to swap challenges and try to hold each other accountable. It could mean asking a mentor or advisor for feedback on your plan. It could even mean openly sharing your goals with your team or your spouse or online so that you feel accountable to follow through on what you said you're going to do. When you voice your struggles or your plans, you create external pressure, the good kind, to take action, and you gain perspectives you wouldn't have on your own. And studies have shown that having an accountability partner can dramatically increase your odds of
hitting a goal. One famous stat from the American Society of Training and Development suggests you have a 65% chance of success with a specific accountability appointment and up to 95% if you have ongoing check-ins. The exact numbers aside, the point is accountability works. If you're more introverted like me and the idea of regularly involving others makes you cringe a bit, you start small. Maybe send a Monday email to your mentor outlining your focus for the week and a Friday email updating them on the progress. Or even join an online community like we've got here in Believe Nation and put some comments below. You can share your wins and your losses. The habit isn't about huge networking. It's about not letting your pride or your fear keep you stuck. When I finally opened up about my struggles, I discovered something pretty amazing. People wanted to help. My audience, my friends, when I started saying, hey, I'm having a hard time with X, what would you do? Tons of advice and support started pouring in. And just knowing I wasn't alone made me push through instead of quit. So I try to remind others too, don't do it alone because you'll probably fail. You'll quit along the way because it's so devastatingly lonely. And that's from my own experience. So break the habit of lone wolfing it and build the habit of asking for help. Being accountable to someone, even in small ways, keeps you consistent when your motivation falls because you know someone cares if you show up or not. And sometimes that makes all the difference. Number 9, single task with focus. Cut out multitasking. In a world of constant pings and dings and notifications, focus has become a superpower, so master it. The habit here is to give your full attention to one task at a time, every day for a solid block of time, and ruthlessly eliminating distractions during that block. It might feel boring compared to juggling 5 browser tabs, checking your phone, and doing email every 2 minutes, but multitasking is a lie. It doesn't make you more productive. It makes you scattered and less effective. Researchers have found that task switching can cost as much as 40% of your productive time. You could be losing nearly half your workday just in the mental gaps created by bouncing between tasks. So here's the new habit. Carve out at least one chunk of time, even 30 minutes to start, where you work on only one thing with 0 interruptions. It could be first thing in the morning, great for those important tasks. You're eating the frog that we talked about, or maybe late at night if you're a night owl, whatever time you can concentrate best. During this time, close your email, put your phone on, do not disturb, or in another room, and shut down any apps or any tabs that are unrelated to the task at hand. If you're writing, just write. If you're coding, just code. If you're brainstorming strategy, just do that. You might feel twitchy at first, itching to check notifications. That's normal, but stick with it. You're training your brain to focus again, like a muscle that's been allowed to completely atrophy. I schedule deep work sessions for myself where my team knows that I am unavailable. Sometimes I'll even put on noise-canceling headphones or earbuds with no music. The silence sends a signal that I'm in the zone. And guess what? An hour of truly focused work often produces more real progress than an entire day of fragmented effort. When I batch film YouTube videos like I'm doing right now, I devote the whole day, Tuesday, just to filming. I'm not focused on emails or meetings, just turn on the camera and go. And by the time I'm making multiple videos, I hit a flow and get far more done than if I tried to squeeze in filming in between other tasks. Now, you might try a version of this. Maybe dedicate mornings to creative work and afternoons to calls so you're not constantly context switching. The main point is to focus on one thing at a time. It's a habit to build, just like you're going to the gym. And at first, 15 minutes of concentration might feel hard, but over time, you'll stretch that to an hour and then 2, and you'll start to love it because you'll see the quality of your work and the speed of your progress skyrocket up. Plus, it's mentally freeing to not be a slave to every notification. You'll realize most urgent things can actually wait. By eliminating the noise for a while each day, you get the truly important work done. No motivation needed, just pure habit and structure carrying you through. Remember, multitasking is the enemy of excellence. Commit to your focus habit and watch your productivity soar. Number 10, prioritize sleep and recovery. Recharge yourself. Hustle culture might glamorize the all-nighters and the 4 a.m. wake-up grind, but let me tell you this, chronic sleep deprivation is a silent killer of success. One of the most boring habits you can adopt, yet one of the highest ROI is getting enough quality sleep and rest. It's not flashy, it feels lazy, but it's anything but. It's strategic. Your body and your brain are the engine of your business, right? If you don't maintain that engine, it'll break down. The science says without adequate sleep, your brain literally struggles to function. Neurons can't fire optimally, your cognitive performance tanks, and your mood and decision-making go downhill. You ever notice how problems seem 10 times more overwhelming when you're exhausted? Or how you make silly mistakes or snap at people when you're running on 4 hours of sleep? That's the sleep loss taking effect. On the other side, good sleep improves almost every aspect of your brain function, your memory, your problem solving, your creativity, your focus, you name it. One study even found that people who improved their sleep saw increases in cognitive performance and a reduction in age-related cognitive decline. So if you sleep well, you think better and you perform better. It's that simple. So what does this mean as a habit? It means setting a consistent sleep schedule as much as possible. If it means you need 7 or 8 hours, most adults do, you prioritize that like you would any important meeting. You wouldn't skip a meeting with your biggest client to binge Netflix till 3 a.m., right? So treat bedtime with that same respect. Maybe it means shutting down screens an hour before bed or doing a wind down routine like reading or stretching so you actually fall asleep on time. This might feel dull. Going to bed at a decent hour is not a sexy life hack, but it will supercharge the hours when you are awake. Even Jeff Bezos, who runs one of the world's biggest companies, Amazon, says he insists on getting 8 hours of sleep because it gives him better energy and clearer thinking for high quality decisions. He's not stupid. He knows a tired brain running Amazon is bad for business. So I had to learn this myself. I'm honestly still working on it. There are periods I tried to get by in 4 to 5 hours, grinding early and late. I tell myself I was working harder than everyone else. But I hit diminishing returns pretty quickly. My creativity dried up. I became irritable. And ironically, I had to redo work because of mistakes. So now I try to guard my sleep. And I also take breaks and days off to recharge. Another thing hustlers often neglect. You are not a machine. Even machines need maintenance. So schedule that day off, that time off, unplug for an afternoon, take a walk outside, get out in nature more to reset your mind. These rest habits keep you consistent longer term. Burnout is the enemy of consistency. If you burn out, you'll be forced to stop. And there goes all that momentum that you have been building up. So the boring habit here is take care of your biological needs. Get sleep, stay hydrated, give yourself downtime. It's not laziness. It's how the actual elite performers sustain their success. Think of it this way. Every night you get quality sleep, you're earning back tomorrow's motivation and willpower in spades. So if you want to be a machine in your work hours, respect the human need to recharge. Long term, this habit separates the entrepreneurs who flame out after a sprint from those who actually endure for the marathon. And number 11, celebrate small wins daily. This is your fuel for your momentum. So let's talk about the habit that keeps your inner fire burning, celebrating your small wins. Entrepreneurs, we're ambitious people. We're always looking at the next goal, the next mountain to climb, and that drive is great. But the downside is we often beat ourselves up for not being where we want to be while completely ignoring the progress that we actually are making. So this can be demotivating and unsustainable. So to stay consistent without relying on big spikes of motivation, you need to cultivate a sense of progress and gratitude every day, even for the little wins and the little steps. And psychology proves this out. Harvard researchers Teresa Amabile and Stephen Kramer found that the number one driver of positive emotions and motivation during the workday was making progress in meaningful work, even if the progress was small. In their study of thousands of daily diary entries, they discovered that those little wins, fixing a small bug in code, closing a minor sale, getting a positive comment from a customer, kept people incredibly joyful and motivated. The best way to keep an employee engaged day after day wasn't massive bonuses or huge achievements. It was facilitating daily progress. The same applies when you're your own boss. If all you focus on is the gap between where you are and where you want to be, then you'll feel constantly behind and discouraged. But if you make it a habit to acknowledge what went right each day, you'll generate a steady flow of motivation from within. So, how do you celebrate small wins as a habit? One simple way is to keep a daily progress journal. At the end of each day, you can write down 2 to 3 things that you've accomplished or wins from that day. They can be tiny. You published your blog post, you made a video that you were procrastinating on, you got a kind email from a customer, you figured out how to fix a problem in your app. By writing it down, you're telling your brain, this mattered. Good job. Another method, I love doing this with my wife, is you share your wins. So you share your wins with your friend, the spouse, your team. For example, the win of the week or shout outs on Fridays. Every day I try to make a video for my team too inside of our Slack where I'm sharing a win, something that I want to recognize somebody on the team for doing because they did a great job. Because everybody
including me, we love shares. It just makes you feel better. And culturally, it reinforces progress. So if you're a solo entrepreneur, you could share your daily win or tell your accountability buddy. It might feel awkward at first, but it builds positive momentum. So during the years when my YouTube audience was really tiny, I survived by celebrating small wins. I remember getting 50 views on a video and I was so happy. It sounds crazy, right? I reframed it. 50 people watched my advice today. Imagine a room of 50 people listening to me speak. Wow. And that little mindset trick kept me pumped. It made me realize that no matter how small, I was making an impact. And that feeling motivated me to do the next video and the next one. If I had said, oh, only 50 people, this sucks, I would have quit and never reached the 5,000 or 50,000 or 5 million views later. By celebrating the little micro wins, I kept myself in the game. So you could do the same thing for yourself. Every day, take a moment, acknowledge something that you did well, you made some progress on, even on the tough days, especially on the tough days. Find one thing. Maybe it's, hey, I got out of bed and I sent 3 emails even though I was depressed. Awesome. Maybe it's sales are down, but I learned a lot from those customer complaints today, right? There's always something. This habit, it keeps your mindset positive and forward looking. It gives you a hit of dopamine and pride that reinforces your other habits. So instead of waiting for the big win a year from now to finally feel good, you're creating little wins today. And success is really just the accumulation of lots of small wins. So celebrate them. This isn't about giving yourself a trophy for nothing. You're putting in work and you deserve to recognize it. So by doing this, you stay motivated internally. You'll end each day thinking, okay, I'm closer than I was yesterday. Let's go again tomorrow. And that, my friend, is a recipe for unstoppable momentum. So look at you. You made it here. Learning, getting better by watching this video. You're proving that you're not just interested in success, but you're actually committing yourself to it. These habits may be boring, but they are the unglamorous backbone of every great entrepreneur's journey. So keep at it. One day at a time, one habit at a time. You're building something extraordinary. Yourself. Most people think they have a bad memory, but the truth is you just have a bad method. School taught you to memorize facts for a test on Friday that you would forget by Monday, but it never taught you how to retain wisdom for a lifetime. If you don't change how you consume information, you will spend the rest of your life working hard, but staying in the exact same spot because your brain is a leaking bucket. In the late 1800s, a German psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus wanted to understand why we forget. He didn't just read books about it, he used himself as the experiment. He created a list of 2,300 nonsense syllables, just random combinations of letters that had no meaning. He spent years memorizing them and then testing himself to see how long he could keep them in his head. He discovered something that is now famous in psychology. It's called the forgetting curve. He found that within just 1 hour of learning something new, you forget more than half of it. Within 24 hours, you forget about 70%. And after a month, if you haven't reviewed it, you will likely remember less than 20%. It showed that forgetting is the default state of the human brain. It's not a flaw in you, it is a feature of your biology. And unless you actively fight against the curve, you're destined to lose the knowledge you work so hard to gain. I used to think that I wasn't smart enough to be a great entrepreneur. And when I started my first business, I felt overwhelmed. I was 19. I didn't know how to sell. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know what I was doing. I was introverted. I was shy. I'd read books and try to learn, but I felt like nothing was sticking. And I would get motivated by a quote or a lesson, and then 2 days later, the feeling was gone, or maybe even an hour later. The doubt came back, the fear came back, and I realized that I needed a way to keep the genius of other people inside my head constantly. I didn't just need to learn it once, I needed to live it. I needed it in my environment around me always. So that's why I started on YouTube. I started learning from YouTube, I started making YouTube videos. People think I make these videos for you, and I do. I want to serve and help, but the selfish truth is I also make them for me. I want Steve Jobs in my ear. I need Howard Schultz in my ear. I watch my own videos every morning, not because I'm vain, but because I need the reminder. I need the reminder. I need to fight that forgetting curve myself. If I don't program my mind every day with the beliefs I want to have, my old beliefs will creep back in. Making the content is my way of retaining the wisdom. It's my way of making sure I don't just hear some advice, but I actually become the person who uses it. So you might be thinking, Evan, I don't have time to watch videos, or I'm just getting older, or my brain isn't as sharp as it used to be. And that is a lie that you are telling yourself to stay comfortable. It's nothing to do with age. It's nothing to do with time. It has to do with priority and strategy. You are spending hours every day consuming content. You're scrolling social media, you're reading news, you're watching Netflix, you are processing gigabytes of information, but it is junk food for your brain. You have the capacity, you just lack the system. You're trying to fill a bucket that has a hole in the bottom. So today, we're going to patch that hole. The trap of passive learning. So you've been lied to about what learning actually looks like. You think learning is sitting back, highlighting a book, or watching a video while you eat lunch, right? That is not learning. That is dying. That is passive consumption. When you read passively, your brain is in recognition mode, not recall mode. You see the words and you nod your head. You think, yes, I understand this. But understanding is not retaining. Recognition is not mastery. Research shows that passive learning methods like rereading your notes or highlighting text are some of the least effective ways to learn. They give you the illusion of competence. You feel like you know it because you just read it. But if you took the book away and asked you to explain it, you would freeze. So this is why you watch a motivational video, you feel pumped up for 20 minutes, and then you go back to your old habits. The information never crossed the bridge from your short-term memory to your long-term identity. You need to switch to active learning. Active learning means you're doing something with the information. You're not just a bucket catching water. You are a muscle lifting a weight. When you struggle to remember an answer, that struggle is where the learning happens. It's called desirable difficulty. If it feels easy, you're not learning. If you're reading a business book and it feels smooth and easy, you're wasting your time. You need to stop, look away from the page, and ask yourself, how would I use this in my business or life today? When I interview billionaires or study the greats, I'm not just listening to be entertained, I'm hunting. I'm looking for the one thing that shifts my perspective. And then I immediately turn it into something else. I turn it into a clip. I turn it into a message. I turn it into a lesson that I can use for my team. I go from idea to action and start implementing. By creating something, I'm forcing my brain to process the information deeply. I'm moving it from something I heard to something I used. If you want to retain more, stop consuming so much. Consume half as much and spend the other half creating. Write a summary. Teach it to your spouse. Record a voice note to yourself. Do not let a single piece of valuable information into your brain without giving it a job to do. The spaced repetition protocol. So you can't cheat biology. Your brain is wired to forget. It is a survival mechanism. If you remembered every single leaf on every single tree you passed on your drive to work, you would go insane. Your brain clears out the clutter to protect you. The problem is your brain thinks the business strategy you just learned is clutter. You have to convince your brain that this information is vital for your survival. The only way to do that is through spaced repetition. This is the exact opposite of cramming. Cramming is what you did in college. You stayed up all night, you shoved information in your head, you passed the test, and you forgot everything 2 days later, right? That is useless for an entrepreneur. You need this knowledge for the next 10 years, not the next 10 minutes. Spaced repetition means you review the information at increasing intervals. So the first review might happen immediately. As soon as you finish the book or you watch the video, you take 5 minutes and you write down your top 3 takeaways. Don't wait. If you wait an hour, you've already lost half of the value. The second review needs to happen within 24 hours. So read your notes the next morning. This sends a signal to your brain, hey, we looked at this yesterday. We're looking at it again today. This must be important. Do not delete it. The third review happens after 3 days, then 1 week, then 1 month. It sounds like a lot of work, but it actually saves you time. It takes 5 minutes to review your notes. It takes 10 hours to reread the book because you forgot everything. So I use this in my own life by having a set routine. Every morning I go on my Believe walk, and again, I fill my head with the voices of the people that I look up to, that I respect, that I want to adopt some of their mindsets. And they give me the same messages in different words over and over and over again. And each time they do, I learn. There's a concept called the 2-3-5-7 method that some students use. You review on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 5, day 7. By the time you hit day 7, that information is locked in. You have to treat your brain like a garden. You can't just water the seeds once and expect a tree, right? You have to water it consistently. Spaced repetition is the water. Environment is stronger than willpower. You can have the best memory techniques in the world, but if your environment is toxic, you will fail. Your environment is constantly feeding you information. If you hang around people who are negative, who complain, who have small goals, your brain is retaining that information. You are learning to be average. You are learning to be scared. Now, I believe that human beings learn through osmosis. We absorb the energy and the beliefs of the people that are around us. This is why I'm so obsessed with what I call virtual mentors. I may not be able to have lunch with Elon Musk, but I can surround myself with him digitally. I can fill my environment with his voice. I can watch videos every day from people that I look up to. When I wake up, I don't look at the news. The news is designed to make you scared. It's designed to make you feel helpless. If you start your day with fear, you will retain fear. Instead, I control my input. I put on a video of someone that's done something that I want to do, but even on a bigger scale. I let their mindset wash over me. I'm designing an environment where belief becomes the default. There's research on deep work environments. Your physical space matters. If your desk is cluttered, your mind becomes cluttered. If you have notifications popping up on your phone every 2 minutes, you're destroying your ability to encode memory. Every time you get distracted, it takes about 20 minutes to get back into the state of deep focus. If you check your phone 3 times an hour, you are never in deep focus. You are skimming the surface of your life. You need to build a fortress around your attention. Turn off the notifications, clean your desk, put pictures of your heroes on your wall. When I was starting out, I put a picture of Steve Jobs on my wall. I looked at it every day. It was a visual reminder of the standard that I wanted to reach. It was part of my retention strategy. I wanted to retain his level of excellence. You have to audit your life. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? What are the 5 YouTube channels that you watch the most? What are the 5 accounts that you interact with on Instagram? If they are not making you better, they are making you worse. There's no neutral here. The biology of memory. You cannot separate your mind from your body. So here's what I mean. If you treat your body like a garbage can, your brain will perform like garbage. You are trying to run a Ferrari engine on sludge, right? There are 2 major biological factors that control your ability to learn and retain: sleep and exercise. First, let's talk about exercise. You might think exercise is just for your muscle. It's actually for your brain. When you exercise, specifically intense exercise, your body releases a protein called BDNF. It stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of it as like a fertilizer for your brain cells. It helps new neurons grow, and it helps existing neurons make stronger connections. So if you're sitting in a chair for 12 hours a day trying to learn, you are fighting a losing battle. Your brain is starving for oxygen and BDNF. I have a trampoline in my office, right? I don't use it just for fun. I use it to wake up my brain. If I'm feeling sluggish or I'm trying to solve a hard problem, I jump. I get the blood flowing. I boost my energy. Now, you don't need to go run a marathon, but you need to move. Before you sit down to study or work on some big project, do 10 minutes of intense activity. You will learn faster and remember more. Second is sleep. Sleep is not a luxury. It is when the save button is hit. When you're awake, you're gathering information, but you're also encoding. But you are not storing. The storage happens when you sleep. During deep sleep and REM sleep, your brain sorts through everything that you experience that day. It decides what to keep and what to throw away. It moves information from the temporary storage in the hippocampus to the permanent storage in your cortex. If you cut your sleep short, you are interrupting that file transfer. You're doing all the work of gathering the files and then pulling the plug before the download is finished. And research shows that sleep deprivation impairs your ability to focus, your ability to learn, and your emotional regulation. You become stupider when you are tired. So you need to protect your sleep like your success depends on it, because it does. You cannot hustle your way through biology. You have to respect the machine. Identify as a teacher. The ultimate hack for retention is a shift in your identity. Most people learn as a student. They learn so they can pass the test. They learn so that they can know it. I want you to learn as a teacher. There is something called the protege effect. Studies show that when students are told they will have to teach the material to someone else, they score significantly higher on recall tests than students who are told that they will just be tested. When you know you have to teach it, You pay attention differently. You look for the structure. You look for the key points. You anticipate questions. You feel a greater responsibility to the material. This connects back to my philosophy of Built to Serve. If you're only learning for yourself, your motivation is always going to be lower. You might quit when it gets hard. But if you are learning because you need to help someone else, your motivation becomes limitless. So when I read a book or watching a video, I'm not just doing it for Evan, I'm doing it for the millions of entrepreneurs who follow me. I'm looking for the nugget that might change your life too. And that pressure makes the information stick at a higher level. You don't need to have a YouTube channel to do this. You can teach your team. You can teach your kids. You can teach your friend. You can try to teach your spouse. Read the book, watch the video with the intention of giving a presentation on it tomorrow. Even if you never give the presentation, the mental preparation will help lock the information in. What it does is it transforms the information from just data into your purpose. When you can connect what you are learning to your purpose, to your one word, it becomes emotional. Emotion is super glue for memory. You remember the moments in your life that had high emotion. Your first kiss, your biggest failure, the day you got married. You forget the days that were just boring. So if you can attach emotion and purpose to the business strategy that you're learning, you will never forget. The power of story. There's an expression that facts tell, but stories sell. And stories also stick. Your brain is wired for narrative. For thousands of years before we had writing, we passed down wisdom through stories. So if you try to memorize a list of 10 facts, you're probably going to fail. But if you weave those 10 facts into a story, you'll remember them forever. When I want to remember a lesson, I try to remember the story behind it. I don't just remember persistence is important, right? I remember the story of Colonel Sanders, right? Getting rejected 1,009 times before he sold his chicken recipe and finally made it big. When you're learning, try to visualize the information, turn it into a movie in your head, make it ridiculous, make it vivid. If you're trying to remember a marketing concept, right? Imagine yourself applying it and getting a massive result. Imagine the customers lining up, feel the excitement that you have. This is active visualization. It's using your imagination to create a memory of something that hasn't happened yet. From doubt to motion. So the reason why you're not retaining information is not because you're broken. You're not stupid. It's not because you're a bad learner. It's because you're passive. You're waiting for the information to change you. But information cannot change you. Only you can change you. You have to take the information and attack it. You have to chew on it. You have to speak it. You have to live it. You have to teach it. The doubt that you might be feeling, the voice that says, I'll never remember this, or this is too hard, that resistance, it's just your brain trying to save energy. That's it. So you have to push past that resistance. Motion creates emotion, the famous saying goes, right? Action creates retention. So don't just sit there and think, move, write, speak, do, create. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is filled with the knowledge that you haven't applied yet. You've already read books. You've already watched the videos. The answers are already inside you. They're just dormant. They're sleeping. You haven't applied them. You need to wake them up. So start today. Pick one thing you learned from this video. Just one. Do not try to memorize this entire video. Maybe it's the spaced repetition, right? Maybe it's the environment design. Maybe it's having a teaching mindset, right? Just pick one thing and use it right now, immediately. Teach it to someone else today. Post about it today. When you take action, you signal to the universe and to your own subconscious that you are serious. You are no longer a passive observer of your life. You are now the director. You have a mission. You have a purpose. You are built to serve, but you cannot serve if you are empty. You have to fill yourself with the wisdom and you have to hold on to it. So your capacity to learn is the ceiling of your potential. If you can learn faster, retain more, you can grow faster, right? You can solve bigger problems. You can help more people. So don't let the wisdom just slip away. Fight for it, protect it, use it. Believe in your brain. Believe in your capacity to grow. Believe that you are smart enough, strong enough, and capable enough to learn anything that you need to learn to achieve your dreams. It's about showing up every day and doing the work. Review your notes, create your environment, move your body, teach what you know. This is how you build a mind that can change the world. This is how you stop forgetting and start becoming. You have the tools. Now you just have to go build the house. You know you're procrastinating and you know that it's hurting you. Maybe you tell yourself, I'll do it later, or you scroll through your phone or binge another episode. Hours turn into days, and that project, that goal, that dream, it's still sitting there waiting. Meanwhile, opportunities slip away and guilt sets in. Procrastination isn't just a minor habit, it's a dream killer. In fact, research shows that the average person wastes about 218 minutes every single day procrastinating. That's roughly 55 days a year gone, just like that. No wonder 94% of people say procrastination drags down their happiness. The stress, anxiety, and regret that follow make you feel worse, not better. Now, you might even start calling yourself lazy or unmotivated, but here's the truth. You are not a procrastinator, you just have a habit of procrastinating. And like any habit, you can break it. Have you ever considered what procrastination really is? It's not just poor time management or laziness, it's a way of coping. Psychologists say that procrastination is an emotion management problem, not a time management problem. So when a task feels overwhelming, boring, or stressful, you delay to avoid negative emotions like fear of failure or anxiety. Putting it off gives a temporary relief, but you've only traded one problem for another. As Dr. Tim Pitchell explains, procrastination is an emotion regulation problem, not a time management problem. Realizing this is huge. It means there's nothing wrong with you as a person. It means you can learn to manage those emotions and break the cycle. Imagine if you could stop procrastinating forever. How would that change your life? No more last-minute panics, no more beating yourself up. You would finally finish that course, start that business, get in shape, write that book, whatever you have been putting off. It's possible. And today I'm going to walk you through how. We're going to hit this problem from every angle, from your mindset and habits to practical tools, time management techniques, and accountability. By the end of this, you'll have a complete toolkit to destroy procrastination before it destroys your dream. I'm going to bring you proven strategies backed by science used by experts and entrepreneurs who beat procrastination daily. You're going to hear insights from people like Mel Robbins, James Clear, and others who have mastered productivity, and I'll challenge you with actionable steps at each stage. So if you're finally ready to take control of your time and your life, let's dive in. Remember, you're here because you refuse to let procrastination win, and I'm here to help you push through that resistance. Let's break the chains step by step. The first battle against procrastination is one in your mindset. How you think about your tasks and yourself makes all the difference. The biggest mistake you might be making is labeling yourself, "I'm such a procrastinator." Stop. As Mel Robbins says, you are not a procrastinator, you have a habit of procrastination. It's a crucial distinction. Procrastination is a behavior you can change, not a permanent trait. When you pin it on your identity, you give away your power to change. It's just who I am. But when you see it as a habit, you realize habits can be broken. This is your new mindset. Procrastination is a behavior, not your identity. Next, understand why you procrastinate and forgive yourself for it. We often procrastinate to avoid something uncomfortable. Maybe the task is hard, maybe you're afraid of failing, or maybe you feel overwhelmed. It's important to show yourself some compassion here. Beating yourself up just adds more negative emotion, which fuels more procrastination. Instead, acknowledge that everyone procrastinates sometimes, even famously productive people. Did you know that Leonardo da Vinci struggled with procrastination? He started tons of projects and left many unfinished. One painting took him 25 years. The point is, you're not alone or broken. Forgive yourself for past delays. In fact, research shows that forgiving yourself for procrastinating on a task can reduce the chance you'll procrastinate similarly in the future. Self-forgiveness helps you let go of guilt so you can move on without that emotional baggage dragging you down. Now, let's talk about those negative emotions. We established that procrastination is often about avoiding a feeling. Maybe you're scared your work won't be perfect, so you avoid starting it all. Maybe the task is boring, so you seek fun elsewhere. Recognize that procrastination is basically a way to delay stress, a short-term mood boost at a long-term cost. Once you see this, you can start tackling the real issue, the fear of discomfort itself. For example, if you're afraid of failing, remind yourself that failure is not final, but not trying guarantees failure. As entrepreneur Tim Ferriss puts it, conditions are never perfect. Someday is a disease that will take your dreams to the grave. Instead of waiting to feel ready, adopt the mindset that action precedes motivation. Mel Robbins emphasizes this in her famous line, "In any area of your life that you want to change, there's one fact you need to know. You are never going to feel like it." Hear that again. You won't ever truly feel ready. If you sit around waiting for a magical wave of motivation, you'll be waiting forever. The antidote is to start before you feel ready. Motivation comes once you begin. One powerful mindset shift is to focus on future gains, not present pain. Procrastination tempts you with immediate comfort. Let's watch some Netflix now, at the expense of long-term benefits like your career growth or your personal pride. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, has a great quote. Procrastinating on something important is choosing to delay a better future. Every time you delay a meaningful task, you're basically robbing your future self. Think about that. Envision the future you who has accomplished this thing. How do you feel? Proud, relieved, successful? Now realize that today's action is what creates that future. When you catch yourself thinking, I'll do it later, imagine your future self looking back, wishing you hadn't waited. Turn procrastination into an enemy of your future success, because it is. Also, shift your mindset from perfectionism to progress. A lot of procrastination is rooted in perfectionism. You're afraid to start or finish because it might not be perfect. But striving for perfection often hinders progress. The key is to give yourself permission to be human. Your work doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to get done. Even imperfect work is better than no work at all. Successful entrepreneurs and creators thrive on iteration. They put out a version, learn, improve. They don't sit forever trying to craft a flawless product in one go. So adopt the mantra, progress, not perfection. Celebrate the fact that you made any progress. You wrote a page, brainstormed ideas, completed a small task. Each small win builds momentum. Remember, consistent small steps beat occasional grand gestures. Lastly, cultivate a growth mindset about your ability to change. Psychologist Carol Dweck's research shows that believing your abilities can grow makes you more resilient and persistent. Apply that here. If you've been a procrastinator up till now, so what? You can change. Tell yourself, I'm getting better at taking action. Each day I'm improving. When you slip up, and it's going to happen, don't spiral into, see, I'll always procrastinate. Instead, evaluate it like a scientist. What triggered me to procrastinate today? How can I handle that better the next time? Learn and adjust. Growth mindset is all about viewing challenges and setbacks as opportunities to learn, not final judgments on you. So in summary, to rewire your mindset, drop the labels, forgive yourself, understand the real emotional battle, and commit to action over comfort. Embrace imperfection and focus on just starting, even when you don't feel like it. Every big achievement is just an accumulation of small actions. So get out of your head and remember that action now beats ideas in your head. It's been said that you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to become great. So start. Mindset is huge, but it's not enough on its own. We need to back it up with solid habits and routines. Why? Because willpower is fickle. Some days you wake up inspired, many days you don't. Habits make taking action automatic, so you rely less on sheer willpower in the moment. As James Clear writes, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. In other words, your daily routines will determine whether you consistently beat procrastination or not. Start by examining your daily schedule. Do you have a routine, especially in the morning? Many procrastinators start the day in reactive mode, waking up late, rushing, checking phones, responding to others, which means your day's direction is already out of your control. Flip that. Design a morning habit that proactively sets the tone. It could be as simple as wake up at a set time, quick exercise or cold shower to energize, then tackle one important task for just 15 to 30 minutes. This concept of doing a morning victory can create momentum for the rest of your day. In Brian Tracy's famous words, eat that frog. Your frog is that big, important task you're most likely to put off. If you do it first, everything else gets easier. As Mark Twain said long ago, if you have to eat a live frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. It sounds gross, but the idea is golden. Do your hardest task first. This habit alone can skyrocket your productivity. When you consistently front load your day with productive work, you train yourself that procrastination is not an option at the start of the day, and that momentum often carries through. Another powerful habit is the 2-minute rule. This comes from productivity experts, notably David Allen and James Clear, and it's magic for procrastinators. The rule is, if something will take less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. Don't put it on a list. Don't mentally stash it for later. Just do it. Reply to that short email, take out the trash, open the document. You'll be amazed how this clears the small stuff that clutters your mind. James Clear also suggests using the 2-minute rule to start bigger habits. Make the first 2 minutes of any task ridiculously easy. So if you want to write an essay, your 2-minute action is write 1 sentence. If you need to clean, start by cleaning 1 countertop. The idea is to overcome the inertia of starting. Anyone can do 2 minutes. And once you've started, you often keep going. The habit of showing up is more important than the size of the effort at first. By committing to just a tiny action, you lower the psychological barrier. Try it. You'll often find that 2 minutes often turns into 5, 10, or 30 once you're in motion. Now let's talk about environment as part of your habits. Your environment can either promote good habits or bad ones. If your phone distracts you every 2 minutes with notifications, or your workspace is a total mess, you're habitually cueing yourself to procrastinate. Make it a habit to design your environment for focus. For example, when it's work time, put your phone on Do Not Disturb and out of reach. Maybe use apps that block social media during certain hours. As the saying goes, make the cue for your bad habit invisible. Simultaneously, make it easier to start your work. Leave the tools you need out and ready. If each day you waste 10 minutes finding files or a charger, that's a small obstacle that gives your brain a chance to wander off. Instead, set up a dedicated clutter-free work area. Here's a habit hack. At the end of each workday, take 5 minutes to organize for tomorrow. Lay out the documents or write the short to-do list for your next morning. This way, when you start your next session, you slide right in. Now, create habits that make work enjoyable or at least bearable. One technique is called temptation bundling, a concept from behavioral science. This means pairing something you enjoy with something you tend to procrastinate on. For example, only listen to your favorite podcast when you're doing house chores, or have a special coffee only when working on your business plan. Research by Professor Katie Milkman found that bundling a want activity with a should activity increases your follow-through. In practice, maybe you only watch that Netflix show while you're on the treadmill, or you only go to your favorite cafe when you have reading to do. By doing this, you create a routine where the fun part pulls you into the less fun task. And you don't feel as much urge to procrastinate because you're getting a reward simultaneously. Let's not forget the habit of daily planning. Each day, either the night before or morning of, write down 1 to 3 top priorities for that day. This is sometimes called setting MITs, your most important tasks. The habit here is clarity. When you know exactly what needs to be done today, you're less likely to spin in indecision, which often leads to procrastination. So for example, instead of a vague work on a project, a MIT would be finish slides 1 to 3 of the presentation or draft the introduction paragraph. Clarity kills procrastination. And when you've checked off those 1 to 3 big things, you feel accomplished. That satisfying feeling reinforces the habit of focused work. Consider adopting a don't break the chain habit popularized by comedian Jerry Seinfeld. Here's how it works. You get a calendar and mark an X on each day you make progress on your chosen task or habit. Do something every day, even if small, and keep that chain of X's going. Soon you have a streak, and your only job is to not break the chain. It sounds simple, even silly, but it's incredibly motivating. Humans love seeing continuous progress. Whether it's writing 50 words a day or coding for 20 minutes, commit to consistency. Seinfeld's method originally was about writing jokes daily. Every day he wrote, he'd mark a big red X. He said, don't break the chain. This visual habit tracker taps into our psychology. Once you have a streak, you won't want to break it. It builds discipline in a game-like way. So to summarize our habit strategies, to beat procrastination, embed good behaviors into your routine so they become your default. For example, the morning frog. Tackle a top task first thing every day, before anything else distracts you. The 2-minute rule. Always start tasks in a tiny way that takes less than 2 minutes. Next is your environment design. Remove distractions, turn off notifications, etc., and set up cues for work, like opening your dock before lunch, etc. Next is temptation bundling. Pair tasks with something enjoyable. Example, good music only when working. Next are your daily MITs. Write 1 to 3 must-do tasks every day and focus on them first. Next is don't break the chain. Use a calendar or app to mark your daily progress and aim to keep the streak going. These habits repeated consistently will make procrastination a rarity. You'll find that taking action becomes your new habit and delaying it feels weird. It takes time. You're rewiring behaviors, but every day you practice these, you strengthen the take action muscle and weaken the put it off muscle. Now that we have mindset and habits covered, let's add some tools and techniques to your new arsenal. Think of these as hacks or supports that make beating procrastination easier. You don't have to do this on sheer internal strength. There are plenty of external tools to help keep you focused and accountable. One of the most famous productivity tools is the Pomodoro technique. If you haven't tried it, it's worth a shot, especially if long work periods intimidate you. The Pomodoro technique breaks your work into manageable chunks. Specifically, you work for 25 minutes. That's one Pomodoro. Then take a short 5-minute break. After 4 cycles, you take a longer break, 15 to 30 minutes. This method is great for procrastinators because anyone can commit to 25 minutes. It's not a huge, daunting stretch of time. It also turns work into sort of a game. How many Pomodoros can I finish today? Importantly, during those 25 minutes, you focus on just one task. No multitasking, no checking messages. Then you must take the break as a reward. This not only improves focus and prevents burnout, it also trains you to work within set times. It feels easier to start because you know a break is coming and you know you only have to sustain focus for a short period. As one guide puts it, it's easier to commit to 25 minutes of work at a time than a whole afternoon of nonstop work. Pomodoro is simple. You grab a timer, and there are many Pomodoro apps and websites, set 25 minutes and go. When it rings, you mark an X. You just completed one session and reward yourself with a 5-minute stretch, coffee, or a bit of music. Just not something that derails you entirely. Then you do the next Pomodoro. This tool can transform daunting, procrastination-prone days into a series of focus sprints. Another set of tools are website and app blockers. Let's face it, the internet is a procrastination paradise. Social media, news feeds, YouTube, they are designed to steal your attention. There are apps like Freedom or Cold Turkey, Stay Focused, and so on that allow you to block distracting websites or apps during the work times. If you can't trust yourself not to check Instagram or TikTok, let a tool help. For example, you can configure Freedom to block all social media and video sites from 9 a.m. to noon on weekdays. This way, even if your procrastinating brain tries to wander, it hits a wall. Out of sight, out of mind. Consider also using focus apps like Forest, which grows a virtual tree the longer you don't touch your phone. If you exit the app to procrastinate, your tree dies. It's a quirky but effective way to motivate yourself to stay off your phone. These tools essentially create an environment where the path of least resistance is to work, not to procrastinate. For task management, use to-do lists or project management tools that work for you. Sometimes procrastination happens because we feel disorganized or forget what to do. So tools like Trello and Asana can help break big projects into smaller tasks and track them. Even a simple notebook or a notes app with checkboxes can do wonders. The key is to externalize your tasks, which means you don't rely on your brain to remember everything. David Allen, who's the author of Getting Things Done, says your brain is for having ideas, not holding them. If you regularly brain dump your tasks into a system, you won't procrastinate out of overwhelm because you can clearly see what needs to be done and you can tackle one thing at a time. Calendar blocking is another technique and tool combo. Use your calendar to schedule time blocks for your important tasks. Instead of just a to-do list that you'll get to sometime, actually decide when you'll do it by scheduling it. For example, block 10 to 11 a.m. for writing that report on your calendar. Treat it like an appointment or meeting with yourself. This creates a structure. At 10 a.m., a notification pops up, and you know, this is what I'm supposed to be doing now. It reduces decision fatigue. You don't have to decide when to do a task. It's pre-decided, and it creates a bit of healthy pressure to start on time. Many top performers swear by time blocking. Even if they don't always perfectly stick to it, it gives them a guide for the day. You also might want to use timers and countdowns as psychological tools. For example, if you're really dragging on starting something, set a timer for 5 minutes and tell yourself, I'll do as much as I can in 5 minutes. This is a mini version of the Pomodoro idea. The ticking timer can create urgency, and knowing it's just 5 minutes gets you over the hump to start. Often you'll find you want to keep going after it rings, and if not, take a short break and then do another 5 to 10 minutes. There's a reason game show contestants get nervous with a ticking clock. It makes you focus. Use it to your advantage. Accountability tools can also be game changers. We'll talk more about accountability with people in the next section, but even a tool like a habit tracker app, think Habit Bowl or Streaks, or a journal can hold you accountable to yourself. At the end of the day, check off whether you avoided procrastination and accomplished what you planned. Seeing a visual record like a checklist or streak count of your progress can motivate you to keep it up. If you like analog, a simple habit tracker chart on paper or whiteboard works too. Lastly, remember that tools are there to support systems, not act as magic pills. You might need to experiment to find what works best for you. One person might love the Pomodoro app on their phone. Another might prefer a simple kitchen timer. One might stick to paper lists. Another thrives in Notion or Google Calendar. Use whatever fits your style, but be consistent in using it. A tool unused is useless. If you decide, I will block Facebook and Reddit during work hours, actually use the blocker consistently until not checking those becomes second nature. If you schedule your day on a calendar, respect those blocks as if they were meetings with a CEO. The more you honor your own system, the more effective those tools become in combating procrastination. So let's quickly recap the tools and techniques. First is the Pomodoro timer. So you work in 25-minute focus bursts and 5-minute breaks. This will help you build focus and make starting easier. Next, we're looking at website and app blockers. We're going to temporarily block distracting sites and apps during work intervals to prevent temptation. Next, we're looking at focus apps like Forest. We're going to gamify staying off distractions by growing a tree by not using our phone. Next, we're going to look at to-do lists. You're going to write down your tasks and break them into subtasks so you always know the next small action. Next, you're going to look at calendar blocking. Schedule tasks on your calendar so you have a specific time to get them done. Next, we're going to look at timers and alarms. You use countdowns for short bursts or alarms to remind you to start the next task. And finally, habit trackers. Track daily progress to visually reinforce consistency so we don't break the chain. Armed with these tools, you'll create a fortress against procrastination. When your mind tries to wander, something will be there to catch it. A timer will ring, a site will be blocked, a checklist will stare at you. Over time, you'll need the tools less as your own discipline and focus grow stronger, but they are incredibly helpful, especially in the beginning. Use them. One reason people procrastinate is because of poor time management, or rather, priority management. When you don't have a plan for your time, it's easy for minutes and hours to slip away on trivial things. Taking control of your schedule and priorities will rob procrastination of one of its favorite little hiding spots. So first, get clear on what truly matters. Not all of your tasks are created equal. Sometimes we procrastinate by doing other work that feels productive but isn't actually moving the needle, like reorganizing your files instead of writing the report. This is where prioritization is key. A classic approach is the Eisenhower matrix. This is urgent versus important. Focus on important but not yet urgent tasks. That's where long-term success lies, and also where procrastination often hits because there's no immediate deadline yet. Make sure your day includes time for these important tasks before they become last-minute emergencies. Here's a great quote from Stephen Covey. The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. In practice, that means if your goal is to, say, write a book, then writing needs to be blocked out on your schedule like an appointment, not squeezed in randomly, which ties back to calendar blocking. Next, break big projects into smaller tasks. We touched on this, but it's worth repeating from a time management perspective. One big reason we procrastinate is overwhelm. Oh man, this project will take 20 hours. I don't have 20 hours right now. The trick is to chunk it down. Can you spend 1 hour on research today? Outline one section tomorrow? As a Wired article advises, divide the project into smaller, feasible steps to reduce the perceived challenge. When you schedule these smaller steps across days or weeks, what seemed impossible now seems doable. You wouldn't sit and eat a whole pizza in one bite. You eat it slice by slice. Treat your projects the same. Slice them up. Write down those slices, your tasks, and you'll feel much less urge to put it off. Next, leverage deadlines, even artificial ones. There's a law called Parkinson's Law that states that the work expands to the time available for its completion. If you have a task with no clear deadline, set one. And if you have a deadline, consider setting an earlier personal deadline. For example, if something is due by Friday, tell yourself it's due Wednesday and schedule accordingly. Shorter timelines can actually make you more efficient by forcing focus. Be careful. The goal is not to rush poorly, but to give yourself a sense of urgency. Many of us say, I work better under pressure. It's not that the work is truly better, it's that the pressure forces you to focus intensely because now it's urgent. You can simulate that pressure by creating milestones. For example, I will finish this draft number 1 by 10 a.m., and then maybe reward yourself. Draft number 2 by noon, etc. Keep those promises to yourself. If needed, share them with someone. Example, I'll email you the draft by 5 p.m. Wednesday to add accountability to your deadline. Here's another time management tip. Schedule breaks and downtime. It sounds counterintuitive, but if you don't deliberately schedule rest, you might procrastinate as a form of sneaky rest. We often procrastinate because we're mentally tired or drained, so we seek a break on social media. By planning breaks, you ensure you get rest in a controlled way without derailing the day. For example, use the Pomodoro breaks or schedule 3:30 to 4 o'clock as walk break daily. Guilt-free break time actually prevents burnout and keeps your focus sharper when you work. It's much better to say, I'll work for 90 minutes, then take a 15-minute break, than try to slog endlessly and end up procrastinating half the time anyway. When you know a break is coming, it's easier to fend off distractions during work time. Next, eliminate time wasters ruthlessly during your work blocks. This means when it's time to work, work. Don't multitask personal stuff. For example, avoid reading non-urgent emails or checking news in the middle of your focus time. Batch those for later. Each quick diversion has a cost. Studies show that even a short distraction can significantly increase the total time to complete a task because of the mental switching cost. So if you're doing a 30-minute focus session, commit fully. Tell colleagues or family if needed that you're not to be disturbed for that half hour, unless the house is actually on fire. Close unnecessary tabs. One thing that helps is to clear your desktop or workspace of everything except the task at hand. If you're writing a proposal, close everything except your proposal doc. Out of sight, out of mind. Next, utilize time buffers for tasks. People often procrastinate when they underestimate how long something will take and then panic. So here's a trick. Assume things will take at least 1.5 times longer than your first estimate. This is known as the planning fallacy. So if you think something is 2 hours of work, budget 3. That way you won't be caught off guard. And if you finish early, great. Use that extra time as a bonus break or get ahead on something else, or knock out some quick small tasks. By budgeting more time, you reduce the anxiety of, I don't have enough time right now to do it, so I'll postpone. Instead, you make enough time by scheduling generously. Finally, practice saying no and reducing commitments where possible. This might sound outside procrastination, but it's not. If you have too much on your plate, you're going to default to procrastinating on some of it because it's impossible to do all of it. Sometimes the best time management is doing less. Focus on the projects that truly matter and see if you can delegate or delay the rest. It's the 80-20 rule. Often 20% of the tasks create 80% of the value. Identify those and prioritize them. The less critical stuff can be minimized. Procrastination becomes a non-issue when you're genuinely engaged and focused on a few key priorities rather than overwhelmed by many. So here are the time management takeaways. 1, we're going to prioritize important tasks. We're going to schedule important but not urgent tasks before they become urgent. Make sure your main goals get on your calendar. Next, we break tasks down. Small scheduled steps beat one giant undefined project. Plan the slices over time. Next, you've self-imposed deadlines. Create urgency by setting deadlines and milestones for yourself and stick to them. Next, time block your day. Assign tasks to time slots. If it's 10 a.m. and the calendar says write your chapter, you write that chapter. Next, schedule breaks. Include short breaks to recharge so you don't end up taking unplanned ones via procrastination. Next, single task focus. During a planned work block, eliminate all other distractions. Monotask for better efficiency. Next, pad your estimates. Give yourself more time than you think needed. It reduces your last-minute crunch stress. And finally, trim the fat. If you have too much to do, prioritize and drop or delay what you can. Don't let an overfilled plate freeze you into doing nothing. By managing your time and priorities effectively, you make it easier to take action and harder to procrastinate. You'll start each day knowing exactly what to do and when, which leaves less room for indecision or avoidance. Remember, a dream without a plan is just a wish. So plan your time and work that plan. Each hour is an investment. Spend it intentionally. The final piece of the puzzle is accountability. Humans are social creatures, and we often perform better when we know someone else is watching or rooting for us. When it comes to overcoming procrastination, accountability can boost your success dramatically. In fact, a study by the American Society of Training and Development found that if you commit a goal to someone, you tell someone about it, you have a 65% chance of achieving it. But if you also schedule regular check-ins with that person, your chance of success jumps to 95%. Those are crazy odds in your favor, just by adding an accountability partner and meetings. So who can you enlist? It could be a friend, a family member, a colleague, or a mentor. The key is someone who will be honest with you and whom you don't want to disappoint. Tell them your specific goal or task and by when you'll do it. For example, you might tell a friend, I'm going to finish my first draft of my business proposal by Sunday. Can I send it to you then? Just knowing that someone expects to see results is often enough to spur you into action. We naturally want to look reliable and keep our word. When left to ourselves, it's too easy to break promises we make to ourselves. But breaking a promise to someone else, that stings a bit more. Consider forming or joining an accountability group or partner system. This can be as simple as a weekly check-in text with a friend. Each of you shares your top goals for the week every Monday and then report progress on Friday. Or join a mastermind group of peers in your field where everyone shares goals and progress. Entrepreneurs often do this to keep each other on track. There are also online communities, forums, social media groups, etc., where you can declare your goals and report back. The format matters less than the principle. Don't go it alone. Sometimes professional accountability can help, like hiring a coach or mentor. A coach's job is partly to hold you accountable for what you say you'll do. If you have the resources, a coach can be that person who checks in with you and pushes you. However, not everyone can or needs to hire someone. Free accountability via peers works as well. Even publicly announcing your goals can create accountability. For instance, share on LinkedIn or Facebook, I'm committing to launch my blog by X date. The social pressure of having declared it can motivate you to follow through because you know people might ask, hey, how's that blog coming along? Another method is to set up stakes. This is a bit of a gamified approach. Basically, attach a cost to not doing your task. For example, give a trusted friend $100 and say, if I finish the project by Friday, I get this $100 back. If not, you donate it to a charity or opponent of my choice. Platforms like Stick allow you to formalize this kind of commitment contract. The idea is to make procrastination painful. Suddenly, hanging out on social media instead of working isn't just harmless relaxation, it could cost you money or embarrassment. It's extreme, but for some people, very effective. Accountability can also be internal. Track your own promises. Use a journal to write, did I do what I said I'd do today? Every day. Some people give themselves a star or score for the day. The trick is to be consistent and honest with yourself. If you see a string of days where you fell short, it's a wake-up call to adjust something. If you see progress, it builds confidence. Sharing this self-tracking with someone, like showing your workout streak to a friend each week, can add external accountability to your internal system. One often overlooked aspect is accountability in pairs, trading obligations. For example, if both you and a friend have tasks you're procrastinating on, agree to swap, not swap tasks, but swap oversight. I'll check on you, you check on me. Maybe schedule a co-working session on Zoom where each of you works on your own tasks. But just being on the call together actually makes you work because you'd feel silly watching Netflix while on a focused session with someone. This is sometimes called body doubling. Just having another person present, virtually or in person, can keep you on track. Lastly, celebrate and share your successes with your accountability partners. When you meet your deadlines or you overcome a procrastination hurdle, share that victory. Let's say you told your team you'd finish a draft by Friday, and you do. Announce it and thank them for holding you to it. Positive reinforcement matters. It also makes others more willing to continue supporting your accountability because they see it working and that you're appreciative. So here are some accountability action steps. First, find an accountability buddy. Pick someone you trust and respect. Share your goals and ask them to check in or vice versa. Set a regular check-in time. Next, join a group. If one exists, like a study group, writing club, startup mastermind, join it or create one among like-minded friends. Next, go public. Announce your commitment or deadline to your audience, your friends, your followers. The public pressure can drive you. Next, use commitment devices. Consider adding stakes, like a bet or a pledged donation if you don't follow through. Next, schedule accountability meetings. As the study suggests, a recurring meeting or call greatly boosts success. It could be weekly or bi-weekly, whatever makes sense. Next, track and report. Keep a log of your tasks and whether you did them. Share this with your buddy or group in each meeting. Next, encourage and challenge each other. If your partner slips, encourage them. If they keep slipping, push them kindly and remind them why they set the goal. Have them do the same for you. When you know someone will ask you, hey, did you do it? Your brain will think twice before procrastinating. It's like having a coach in your corner at all times. Over time, you internalize this accountability and build a reputation with yourself for getting things done. But until that habit is rock solid, let social accountability be your safety net. Remember, even top CEOs have boards of directors or stakeholders to answer to. That's built-in accountability. Use whatever level of accountability you need in your life to keep you honest and moving forward. We have covered a lot: mindset shifts, habit formations, tools, time management, and accountability. This is the formula to destroy your procrastination forever, but knowledge alone won't save you. Action will. So I'm ending with a challenge. Pick one tip from this video and do it today. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Maybe it's doing a 25-minute Pomodoro on that task you've been avoiding. Maybe it's texting a friend to be your accountability partner. Maybe it's writing down your top 3 priorities for tomorrow. Just do something to break the inertia. Remember, procrastination is not a life sentence. It's a habit you now know how to break. It starts with deciding that your goals, your dreams, your responsibilities are worth more than the fleeting comfort of putting things off. It continues with believing you have the power to change it, because you do. And it succeeds with consistent practice of these principles. You won't be perfect. There will be days that you slip. That is okay. When that happens, don't beat yourself up. Recall what we discussed. Forgive yourself, learn from it, and jump back on the next day. Imagine yourself a few months from now having implemented these changes. Think of the projects completed, the stress avoided, the confidence gained. Procrastination has stolen enough from you already. Your time, your peace of mind, your lost chances. No more. Starting now, you're taking control. You're going to manage your emotions. You're going to build empowering habits. You're going to use your tools, guard your time, and lean on others for support. This holistic approach means you're attacking the problem from every side. Procrastination won't stand a chance. You've got everything you need to begin. Now take that first step. Mel Robbins might count you down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Make this moment perfect by acting. As you start to move forward, you'll find that momentum kicks in, motivation sparks, and a new identity forms. You'll start seeing yourself as someone who takes action consistently, a productive, reliable person, an achiever. That identity will only get stronger the more you reinforce it with action. So the next time procrastination whispers in your ear, you'll recognize it. It's just fear or discomfort trying to trick you. You now know better. You have the strategies to respond. Maybe you'll speak back to that voice with, "I'll feel better if I start now." Or you'll use the 5-second rule to shut it down and move. You've got this. Every major success is built on many small moments of choosing to act when it would be easier not to. Train yourself in those small moments. Win those and you win the war. I believe in you. I've seen entrepreneurs and creators go from chronic procrastinators to productivity powerhouses using these exact strategies. They didn't become robots or lose their personality. They simply learned to value their goals over their temporary comfort. They learned to love the feeling of progress more than the short-lived relief of avoidance. And that shift made all the difference. It will for you too. No more excuses. No more waiting. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is right now. It's time to step into the future you want. One action at a time. Your future self is watching. Make them proud by what you do today. So go ahead and after this video, do the most important thing you've been putting off. You'll thank yourself later. I promise. It's your turn to beat procrastination and unleash your potential. I'm rooting for you. Now stop watching and start doing. Believe. Social media is stealing your success. It's tricking you into feeling productive because you can get clients there, but it's actively robbing you of focus every single day. And if you keep letting social media steal your attention, you'll never become the successful entrepreneur that you were meant to be. Odysseus knew all about dangerous distractions. On his journey home, he was warned about the sirens. These were creatures whose enchanting songs lured sailors to their doom. Odysseus still wanted to hear their song, but he refused to lose everything for it. So he plugged his crew's ears with wax and had them tie him tightly to his ship's mast. As they rowed past the Sirens' Island, Odysseus begged and screamed for release. The song was that irresistible, but his men were unable to hear him and they were under strict orders to keep him tied up. His ship sailed to safety because Odysseus removed his ability to give into temptation. He felt the pull of the siren's call, the same pull that you feel right now every time your phone buzzes with a new notification while you are trying to get work done. I felt that pull in my own life too. When I was starting my business, I had to sacrifice a lot of distractions that my friends were calling fun. I remember allowing myself only one social night out per month, partially because I was broke and I just couldn't afford it, but also because I was laser focused on making my company work. And listen, it was hard. It was hard watching everyone else relax and have fun while I worked. I felt like I was missing out, but I told myself that I do difficult things and I did not want to let the FOMO or fear stop me from taking action. So saying no to almost everything that wasn't building my business became the thing that saved me. Every hour I saved from mindless parties or entertainment
investment was an hour invested into my dream. Now, maybe you're thinking exactly one of our subscribers, Swoggles Ute, asked, how do I avoid getting distracted by social media when that's where I get my clients? And I get it. It feels like you have to be on all the time or you're going to lose business. But ask yourself, are you using social media or is it using you? And if it's truly a tool for clients, then you should be in control of it, not endlessly scrolling, not constantly checking. Just like a bartender can't be drunk on the job, an entrepreneur can't be hooked on the feed and expect to stay effective. So, a flip. Being always online isn't what lands you clients. Delivering value is. In fact, many entrepreneurs realized too late that social media was a vanity trap. It felt like work, but it wasn't moving the needle. Tanya Dalton, a CEO 14 years, discovered none of her best clients had even found her through social media. All that posting and checking was requiring maximum time, energy, and money for minimal dollars. For her, social media was a distraction from true success. So yes, your clients might be on social, but they don't need you glued to it 24/7. They need you at your best. So you're creative, you're focused, you're delivering results, and that means that you need to take back control. So how do you actually do it? How do you beat social media distraction without losing the connections that matter for your business? Let's break it down. Here are 5 strategies to free yourself from social media distractions and up your productivity. Step number 1, recognize the true cost of distraction. You must start by getting honest about how these little quick checks are actually stealing from you. It's more than you think. The average person now spends about 2 hours and 21 minutes per day on social media. That's over 2 hours of your day gone every day. For an entrepreneur, that's huge because time is your most valuable asset. And it's not just the minutes spent scrolling. Every time you get pulled away from work to take a little peek at your feed on that notification, you lose momentum. Research from the University of California, Irvine shows that after even a brief interruption, it takes about 23 minutes and 15 seconds to fully regain focus on your original task. 23 minutes! Think about that. A quick 2-minute Instagram check could cost you nearly half an hour of productive work by the time your brain gets back into gear. Do that multiple times a day and hours disappear. These platforms are designed to be addictive. It's not a personal failing that you feel the urge to check. It's by design. Former Facebook president Sean Parker admitted they built social media to exploit your psychology, saying, God only knows what it's doing to our children's brains. Scrolling gives you a quick dopamine hit, a little reward, and that trains you to keep coming back. But those quick hits come at the expense of your long-term goals. So I need you to internalize this. Every time you're distracted by social media, you're paying with something irreplaceable: your time, your energy, and your mental clarity. It's like compound interest in reverse, though. Small distractions snowball into big losses. Once you see the true cost, you'll feel far more urgency to actually change. Number 2, set strict boundaries and stick to them. The next step is to regain control by setting hard rules for when, how, and why you use social media. Think of it like installing guardrails on a winding road. Without them, it's too easy to go off a cliff. So schedule your social media time. Literally block it out on your calendar like an appointment. For example, instead of constantly hopping in and out of apps all day, you decide, I'll handle all of my social media work between 4 and 5 p.m. every day, and that's it. This is called time blocking, and it's a game changer for productivity. Experts recommend creating a dedicated block, like 60 minutes, for emails and social media tasks, rather than letting them interrupt you all day long. So during that block, you focus only on those tasks: responding to client DMs, posting content, checking industry trends, and nothing else. When the time is up, you log off and you get out. Why is this effective? Because you're training your brain that social media time has a defined start and end. It's not a constant background noise anymore. It's a scheduled activity with a purpose. You go in with intention and you leave when you're done. This structure prevents the slippery slope of, I'll just check for a minute, which then turns into 30 minutes before you know it. Also, set physical boundaries if you can. So maybe you decide you only use social media from your laptop or at your desk, not on your phone, not on the couch. By changing the context, you make it easier to stick to your habit. Or on your work computer, you might even have a separate browser profile just for business social media with no algorithmic news feed to tempt you. And outside of that business hour, log out of your accounts. Make it slightly inconvenient to get back on. That friction becomes your friend. Remember, Entrepreneurs lead. They don't follow endless rabbit holes. One entrepreneur I mentioned earlier, Tanya Dalton, called out the limiting belief that you have to be on every platform constantly. Once she set boundaries and eventually cut out her social media, her business didn't die, it grew. Think about that. By refocusing her time on more meaningful connections like emails and live events, she stood out in a crowded marketplace. So, your turn. Decide right now when and where you will engage with social media and hold that line. Hold. Your focus will thank you. Number 3, use social media with purpose. Become a producer, not a consumer. So a big mindset shift here is to treat social media as a tool for your business, not a toy for your boredom. There's a massive difference between using social media intentionally and letting it use you. If social media is where you find clients, then approach it like a business task. That means you go on each platform with a clear objective. So example, I'm going to post an update about our new service, or I'm going to answer comments and then message 3 potential leads, right? You have a to-do list for your social session. If it's not on the to-do list, you don't do it. You're there to create value, not consume randomness. The moment you find yourself drifting into the timeline with no aim, stop. That's like wandering into the forest without a trail. You'll get lost in there for ages. So here's a strategy. Create more than you consume. For every piece of content you consume, like watching someone else's story or a post, aim to create one of your own. A post, a reply, a helpful comment, a story. This keeps you in the mindset of an active contributor, not just a passive scroller. It also directly benefits your business, content, and engagement that your clients or prospects see, rather than you silently comparing yourself to others' highlight reels, right? Also, focus on the high-value interactions and ditch the vanity metrics. Followers and likes are nice, but if they aren't translated into business, they become a distraction. So double down on the social media activities that actually generate leads or build relationships. Maybe it's posting valuable content. Maybe it's participating in a niche forum or group where your clients are hanging out. Tanya's wake-up call was realizing that she was chasing follower counts while none of her soulmate clients, as she calls them, came from those followers. She switched to channels that mattered, like her podcast and email, once she saw the data. So in your case, figure out which 20% of your social media actions drive 80% of the results. That's the Pareto principle in action. Do more of those and feel free to cut the rest. You do not need to do everything. You need to do the right things. Finally, embrace the idea of delayed gratification. Building a business is a long game, and sometimes you have to forgo the instant gratification of a quick scroll for the sake of a bigger reward. The famous Stanford marshmallow experiment showed that children who resisted the temptation of one treat now, waiting to get 2 treats later, tended to have better life outcomes and success as they grew up. The ability to delay gratification is like a superpower for entrepreneurs. Every time you resist opening that app and instead invest that time in your craft, your product, your skills, your clients, you're essentially waiting for the second marshmallow. You're trading a fleeting moment of amusement for a step closer to that dream outcome of yours. That's a trade that winners make. Number 4, eliminate triggers and distractions in your environment. So even with strong boundaries and a clear purpose, willpower alone can fail if you're constantly tempted. So the solution is to proactively remove or reduce the triggers that pull you off track. Make it easier to do the right thing and harder to do the wrong thing. So start with notifications. These are basically digital siren songs. The pings, the buzzes, the little red dots, they're designed to grab your attention immediately. Turn them off, all of them. That's what I do, except the truly critical ones. You don't need a ding every time someone likes a post or every time an acquaintance tweets something out. Those can wait until your scheduled social media time. Even better, log out of the social media apps, we talked about this, entirely during work blocks so they can't notify you at all. Consider what Ed Sheeran did. He got so tired of feeling overwhelmed and sad by his phone constantly pulling at him that he completely got rid of his smartphone in 2015. Now that's extreme, but listen to his reasoning. He said after ditching the phone, it was like a veil just lifted. Suddenly he could live life uninterrupted. In an interview, he described how even if he tried to ignore his phone buzzing in his pocket during a conversation, part of his mind would fixate on like, who was that? What was that vibration? I'm kind of listening to you, but I'm also thinking about the phone. That is exactly what every notification does to you. It fractures your attention. So take a page from Ed. Remove the buzz. Even if you don't throw your phone in the ocean, you can turn it on silent. You can put it face down. You can leave it in another room when you need to focus. Out of sight, out of mind.
Next, look at your digital environment. If you find yourself wasting time on certain apps or sites, use tech to fight tech. There are website blockers and apps like Freedom or Focus Me, or even built-in screen time controls that can block access to specific sites during the hours that you choose. If Instagram is your culprit, you might do your business posting from a desktop browser where you don't get the addictive Explore feed. If YouTube sucks you in, consider a browser extension that hides the recommended videos. Yes, these things all exist. You can use them. It's like putting locks on the cookie jar if you're on a diet. Nothing wrong with structuring your environment to support your goals. And don't forget the physical environment. If you work from home, is the TV on in the background with news or Netflix? Turn it off. That's another distraction. Are there other easy buttons for procrastination around, like a gaming console right next to your workstation, right? Mute them, hide them, whatever it takes. Create a workspace that signals this is where I focus. Sometimes just a change in setting can help. So example, you could work from a library or co-working space where the atmosphere is everyone is concentrating. It's harder to slack off when those around you are dialed in. The goal here is to engineer your surroundings so that staying on task is the path of least resistance. When you do this, you rely far less on sheer willpower, which can fluctuate, and more on habit and structure. You're tying yourself to the mast, just like Odysseus. So even the siren songs, when they start playing, you simply can't steer towards it because you've set yourself up to prevent it. Number 5, prioritize deep work and real connections. Ultimately, overcoming social media distraction isn't just about what you avoid, it's about what you do instead. It's about making the meaningful work and connection so fulfilling that the shallow stuff loses its appeal. One concept I love is deep work, coined by author Cal Newport, which is the act of focusing without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. This is where you produce your best work, you have your best ideas, and you truly move the needle in your business forward. When you schedule time for deep work, treat it as sacred. During those periods, protect them fiercely. No social media, no trivial emails, nothing that isn't related to the important project at hand that's in front of you. You might start with just 30 minutes of deep work a day and build up. But when you're in it, be in it. You'll find that not only do you get more done, you also get a sort of satisfaction that mindless scrolling can never compete with. The human brain actually enjoys focus. It's where we find states of flow and accomplishment. After a good session of creating or problem solving, checking social media will feel more like a cheap dessert. You know, maybe it's like tasty and sweet for a second, but not nearly as nourishing as a meal of deep work that you just had. And over time, you'll crave the focus more than the distraction. Also, lean into real-world connections and experiences. One reason we reflexively check social media, it's due to loneliness and boredom. We seek connection or a break. You can fulfill those needs in a far healthier way. Instead of chatting in a comment thread, call up a friend or a fellow entrepreneur and have a real conversation, right? Instead of watching a random video at a break, step outside and take a short walk. Get some fresh air. Let your mind wander a little bit. It's okay to be a little bit bored. These things rejuvenate you far more. Ed Sheeran mentioned that the best part of quitting the smartphone was the moments he has now, the uninterrupted with the people that he loves. That's the goal. Those real moments give life the richness. And guess what? When you're happier and more fulfilled offline, you're less likely to seek escape online. Finally, work on adopting the identity of a focused, disciplined entrepreneur. This is crucial. Tell yourself, I'm the kind of person who values my vision over short-term urges. I am a leader, not a follower. I run my business. I don't let distractions run me. When social media tempts you, this identity will kick in. No, that's not who I am. I don't scroll mindlessly when I have a mission to fulfill. This isn't just willpower, it's self-image, and we are all wired to act consistently with who we believe we are. So if you dropped the hashtag believe in the comments before, you know this community, Believe Nation, it's all about building belief. So start believing that you are indistractable, that you are focused, that you can handle the discomfort of not checking your phone for a few hours because you've got something more important cooking up right now. And here's the beauty. Each day that you follow these steps, each day that you stick to your schedule, that you get your deep work done, that you avoid all the nonsense, you reinforce that identity. You prove to yourself that you are in control. The distractions lose its power over you because you decide what matters. You decide. You'll start seeing results. Maybe in those extra hours of productive work, you design a better product, or you reach out to more clients, or you simply end your day feeling proud of yourself instead of feeling drained. And those results pour into the motivation to continue. So it becomes a virtuous cycle for you.
Every time that you overcome a distraction, you strengthen your focus muscle. The fact that you're here right now watching this and you're working on yourself shows that you mean business. You're not just avoiding social media, you're becoming a person who values their purpose over pleasure. So keep applying these strategies and you'll do more, you'll feel better, and you'll lead better. Business is not complicated. It's just solving a problem for someone else. Most people fail because they overthink the plan instead of falling in love with the person that they are serving. If you don't shift your focus from your fears to who you can serve, you'll stay stuck in analysis paralysis forever. Elon Musk didn't build SpaceX by looking at what NASA was doing. He looked at the physics. When he wanted to go to Mars, people said rockets were too expensive. They said a single rocket cost $65 million. That was the industry standard. But Musk didn't accept that. He asked, what is a rocket made of? He broke it down to aerospace grade aluminum, titanium, copper, and carbon fiber. Then he asked, what is the value of those materials on the commodity market? It turns out the materials were only 2% of the typical price. The rest was inefficiency. By refusing to copy others and reasoning from the ground up, he cut the cost of space travel by a factor of 10. Now, I know this feeling because I lived it. When I was 19, I had a clear path to a safe, high-paying job at a bank. It was secure, it's what I thought I wanted, it's what society said was success, but I also had this crazy idea to join a biotech software company. Everyone told me I was insane to turn down the bank job. I didn't have experience, I didn't have funding, but I used what Jeff Bezos calls the regret minimization framework. I projected myself forward to age 80. I asked, will I regret trying this and failing? No. Will I regret never trying at all? Absolutely yes. I didn't want to be an old man wondering what if. So I turned down the bank, went to join the company, and we eventually grew to customers in 30 countries and got acquired. But you might be thinking, okay, Evan, I don't have a genius idea like Elon Musk, and I don't have the tech skills that you might have had at 19. But the truth is, you don't need to be a genius, and you don't need to have a degree or tons of experience. You just need to stop letting your lack of belief hold you back from seeing the simple truth of how business actually works. Part 1, the foundation, first principles thinking. The biggest mistake you're making is reasoning by analogy. Reasoning by analogy means you look at what your competitors are doing and you try to do it slightly better. You see a coffee shop, so you open up a coffee shop. You see a YouTuber, so you copy their thumbnails. This can be a trap. When you copy, you are copying their inefficiencies, their fears, and their mistakes. You need to use first principles thinking. This is the physics way of looking at the world and what Elon Musk did. You boil things down to the most fundamental truths and say, what are we sure is true? And then reason up from there. So if you're starting a business, don't ask, how do I make a product like Apple? Ask, what is the fundamental problem that my customer has? So maybe the problem is that they're tired. The analogy solution is coffee. The first principle solution might be a nap pod, a nutritional supplement, or a better mattress. When Elon Musk looked at battery packs, people said they would always be expensive because they cost $600 per kilowatt hour in the past. He broke it down to the molecular level. Cobalt, nickel, aluminum, carbon. He realized if you bought those on the London Metal Exchange, it was only $80 per kilowatt hour. The gap between 600 and 80 is where the opportunity lives. Stop looking at your competition, look at the truth. Part 2, the 5 elements of every business. You don't need an MBA. In fact, most MBAs teach you how to be an employee, not an entrepreneur. According to Josh Kaufman, author of The Personal MBA, every business in the world, from a lemonade stand to Google, is just 5 things. If you are missing one of these, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. So let's go through the 5. Number 1 is value creation. You must discover what people need or want and then create it. This isn't about what you want to make alone. It's about what they need. It needs to satisfy a core human drive, the drive to acquire, to bond, to learn, defend, or feel. If your product doesn't solve a real problem, nothing else matters. Number 2, marketing. If you build it, they will not come. Marketing is the art of changing beliefs. It is attracting attention and building demand for what you have created. You need to move people from unaware to problem aware to solution aware. Number 3, sales. Marketing attracts them, sales gets them to commit. This is the process of turning a prospective customer into a paying customer. Sales is not about tricking people, it's about trust. It's about helping your prospect understand why your offer is worth paying for. Number 4, value delivery. You have to actually give them what you promise. This is where your reputation is built. If you sell a dream and deliver a nightmare, you're done. You need to exceed expectations. And number 5 is finance. You need to bring in enough money to keep going and make it worthwhile. You don't need to be an accountant, but you need to understand that if more money goes out than comes in, you are out of business.
That's it. If you're struggling, one of these 5 things is broken. Diagnose it, fix it, move on. Part 3, strategy, the 7 powers. So once you have the basics, you need a strategy. Hard work is not enough. If you work 100 hours a week on a bad strategy, you will still lose to someone working 20 hours a week on a great strategy. Strategy is about power. Power is the set of conditions that create the potential for persistent differential results. So what does that mean? Power is what stops your competitors from stealing your profits. Hamilton Helmer identified 7 powers that build an enduring business. You don't need all of them, but you need at least one. So number 1 is scale economies. This is where you get cheaper as you get bigger. So think about Netflix. When they started making original content like House of Cards, they spent $100 million. That sounds like a gamble, but because they had millions of subscribers, the cost per subscriber was pretty tiny. A smaller competitor could not afford to spend $100 million on one show. Their size became their shield. Number 2, network economies. The value of the product goes up as more people use it. So think about Facebook or LinkedIn. If you leave Facebook, you lose your connection to some of your friends. If you start a new social network, it has 0 value because there's no one there. This is why it's so hard to kill a network once it takes off. Number 3, counter positioning. This is my favorite for new entrepreneurs. This is where you adopt a new business model that your competitor cannot copy because it would hurt their existing business. So, example, you can look at Kodak, right? They invented the digital camera in 1975. They knew it was the future, but they made all their money selling film. If they pushed digital, they would kill their own film profits. They were stuck. They couldn't move. Or you can look at Vanguard. They introduced low-cost index funds. The big banks couldn't copy them because the banks made their money on high fees. If the banks lowered their fees to match Vanguard, they would lose all their revenue. So find a way to do business that makes your competitor afraid to copy you. Number 4, switching costs. Make it painful for your customer to leave, not by trapping them, but by integrating so deeply into their life that leaving is a hassle. So think about Apple. Once you have an iPhone, a Mac, an iPad, iCloud, switching to Android becomes a nightmare. You stay because staying is easier. Number 5, branding. Branding is not just a logo. It is the attribution of higher value to an objectively identical offer. So, example, Good Morning America did a test. They bought a diamond ring from Costco for $6,600 and a similar ring from Tiffany for $16,600. An expert appraiser actually said the Costco diamond was better quality, but people still pay $10,000 more for the Tiffany blue box. Why? Because the brand reduces uncertainty. You trust Tiffany. You don't trust Costco for romance. That trust is power. Number 6 is a cornered resource. This is having something no one else can get. It could be a patent, a location, or a team. Pixar had a brain trust of the best storytellers and animators in the world. Disney couldn't replicate it, so they had to buy them. If you have the best of something, you've cornered a resource. And number 7, process power. This is doing something so efficiently that no one can match you. So Toyota developed the Toyota production system. They were so confident in it that they actually gave tours to their competitors. They showed GM exactly how they built cars, and GM still couldn't copy them. Why? Because the process was embedded in the culture, not just the machines. It was learned by osmosis over decades. Part 4, the psychology, belief, and the who. You can have the first principles, you can know the 5 parts, you now have the 7 powers, but if you don't believe in yourself, none of it matters. Belief is the world's biggest problem. I believe everyone has Michael Jordan level genius at something, but we don't do it because we're afraid. We're afraid to fail, we're afraid of judgment, we're afraid to be seen, starting small, starting over. You have to realize that your purpose comes from your pain. Whatever you struggled with the most is what you are best equipped to help others with right now. I make videos for entrepreneurs because I was the struggling 19-year-old entrepreneur who needed help. I'm serving my younger self. When you focus on serving, the fear goes away. You stop worrying about how you look and you start worrying about how you can help. And stop obsessing about the how. How do I build the website? How do I get the funding? The how will always change. The how is flexible. You need to be stubborn on the why and the who. Who are you serving? Why does it matter? If you know who you're serving and why it matters, the how will present itself. You will figure it out. You will learn. You will partner. And money is a tool. It's important. You need oxygen to breathe, but you don't live to breathe. You need money to run your business, but you don't live for money. If money is your number one goal, you will quit when it gets hard, and it will get hard. If your goal is service, you'll keep going. You will find a way. Part 5, execution, getting started. So where do you start? You start by doing. You start by failing. You have to give yourself permission to produce garbage. My first videos were terrible. I was shy. I was sweating. I looked nervous, but I posted them anyway. If I waited until I was perfect, I would never have started. People say that good is the enemy of great. So if you stay in your comfort zone doing what you're good at, you will never find what you could be great at. You don't need to quit your job today. You don't need to mortgage your house. You can start with 30 minutes a day. You can start by solving one problem for one person. Start small, but start. The only difference between you and the people you look up to is that they started and they kept going when everyone else quit. You have a genius inside of you. You have a problem that you can solve for the world. Don't let the how stop you. Don't let the fear stop you. Use the principles. Build the 5 parts. Find your power. And most importantly, believe. If you're feeling bold, if you're feeling powerful right now, that's a signal. Follow that feeling. Take the next step. Keeping your passion as just a hobby is a waste of your potential. Think about it. Most people, they slave away to jobs that they hate, suppressing the things they love. No wonder they feel stuck and unhappy. If you never act on your passion, you risk waking up at 80 with nothing but regret. The regret of knowing that you never even tried. Take Walt Disney as an example. Walt started out drawing cartoons for fun, sketching animated figures in his spare time. At 18, he landed a job as a cartoonist, but he wasn't satisfied with just drawing for someone else. He had a bigger vision. He turned his doodles into an empire, starting his own studio and growing it into the Disney we know today. Imagine if Walt had played it safe and kept art as a side gig. We might not have Mickey Mouse, no Disneyland, none of it. His hobby became his legacy because he had the courage to go all in. Now, a personal story from my own life. Years ago, I fell in love with salsa dancing. I started as the tall, awkward guy with 2 left feet. I didn't speak Spanish. I was a slow learner, but I kept at it week after week. Salsa wasn't my job. I did it because I loved it, and it changed my life. I met my wife through salsa. It became a huge part of who I am. Fast forward a few years later, the owner of my salsa studio decided to move on, and the community we built was at risk, so I couldn't let that happen. So I bought the studio. Yeah, a guy who started as the worst student in class ended up owning Canada's largest salsa dance studio. Why? Because salsa was more than just a hobby. It was a passion that I was willing to invest in. And that little hobby now impacts tens of thousands of people, even doubles as my film studio for my videos during the day. I turned my hobby into a business that serves my community and brings me joy every single day. So you might be thinking, okay, that's great for you, Evan, but my hobby can't pay the bills. Or what if turning it into a job ruins the fun? I hear you. It's scary. That's legitimate. You worry about money. You're about failing, about losing that spark. But what if you never try? What if you keep dragging yourself to a mediocre job and only dabbling in your passions on the weekends? That's a recipe for a mediocre life. Turning your hobby into your career doesn't kill the passion. It doesn't have to. It can amplify it. Yes, it will be work, and not every day will be amazing and sunshine and rainbows, but it's meaningful work fueled by something that you actually care about. And that beats any soul-sucking job any day of the week. And guess what? People are making it happen every day. If someone else with a camera or an oven or a paintbrush can turn their passion into a thriving business, why not you? The only difference is they said yes to their dreams while others say no. So, are you ready to say yes? Let's talk about how to actually do it, how to transform that hobby of yours into a real career, step by step. Here we go. Step number 1, stop calling it just a hobby. Shift your mindset. So you have to believe that your hobby can be your career. Step 1 is an identity shift. Stop treating it like a cute little side interest and start treating it like it matters. If you don't take your passion seriously, nobody else will. Think of Alicia Schaefer, a mom of 3 who loved making boho chic designs. She started out crafting in her kitchen at first and selling on Etsy. At first, it was just a fun side hustle. Then she had a mindset shift. I decided to stop treating it like a hobby and start treating it like a business, she said. The result, she became Etsy's top seller, pulling in as much as $60,000 to $80,000 a month with her handmade products. That happened because she believed her hobby was worth something and committed to it like a professional. I had to learn this myself. Some of you know my story. I started a website in my 20s of sharing lessons from successful entrepreneurs. And that site started to blow up. We had 100,000 plus pages of content, and even big names started writing for us. On paper, it was a success. But I woke up one day and realized I no longer loved it. It had turned into a content factory, just chasing ad dollars, not the mission-driven project that I envisioned. Meanwhile, I was getting more excited about making YouTube videos, reaching people more directly, having more fun with it. So I made a bold decision. I just shut down my big website overnight, and I moved my entire focus to YouTube. People thought I was insane. They said, Evan, you walked away from a sure thing to chase a hobby on YouTube. What are you doing? But I didn't see it as crazy. In my mind, it was more risky to stay stuck doing something that I didn't like anymore. Why keep investing in a business that my heart wasn't in just because it made some money? I'd rather take my shot doing what I loved. And I told people walking away from something you don't like towards something you do is the opposite of risky. And you know what? That decision to treat YouTube, my passion for creating video content, as my real business changed my life. The channel that you're watching now only exists because I had the courage to put my passion first. So step one for you is internal. Own the identity. You're not just a hobbyist. You're a baker, an artist, a coder, an educator, whatever your hobby is. Start calling yourself that. Carry yourself like it's already your career. This isn't about fake it until you make it. It's about being it so you can become it. And psychology backs us up. When you identify deeply with a role or mission, you behave differently. You show up with purpose. You keep going when others would quit. And the world needs people who are alive with passion. One of my mom's favorite pieces of wisdom for me was, if you have the ability, you have the responsibility. If you can, then you must. And I carried that into my mission. If I can help somebody with something I love, then I have to. Your hobby lights you up for a reason. It's pointing you to your purpose. So embrace it fully. Decide that you're going pro in your passion. That decision alone sets everything else in motion for you. Step number 2, start before you're ready. Overcome perfectionism. So stop waiting for permission or for the perfect plan and just start. This is where so many aspiring entrepreneurs, they fall apart. I know, because I stumbled here too. We want everything to be just right. We don't want to launch until the stars align and success is guaranteed, right? Newsflash, that day will never come. Perfect is an illusion, and waiting for perfect is a dream killer. So let me share 2 quick stories. First, back in my 20s, my software company almost had a huge exit. This deal would have been $40 million to us. Life-changing money for me at that age. But guess what? We missed it. Why? Because I was obsessing over details and planning instead of taking action. So I spent an entire summer writing and polishing our business plan. Meanwhile, a competitor, they got out there and they built relationships. And when the big opportunity came, they were ready and we weren't. And that competitor got acquired for $40 million, not us. And I'll be honest, that really stung. I remember saying I lost a $40 million deal because I was trying to make things perfect. It was a tough pill to swallow, but also an incredibly valuable lesson. And I'm still a recovering perfectionist. And I realized that a half-assed plan that you act on is better than a perfect plan that you never execute. Most of your precious plan is going to be wrong anyway once it meets reality. You've got to get in the game and adapt on the fly. And my perfectionism cost me a once-in-a-lifetime deal. And I vowed to never let fear of not being perfect slow me down again. Second story, my YouTube channel. So fun fact, I created the channel in 2008, but I was so nervous about getting it right that I didn't upload my first video until April 2009. I sat on it for months. Why? Perfectionism. I told myself I needed a professional videographer, a script, the right suit. And I did all that for my first video. It took me an entire day to record, I forget how many minutes video, because I kept overthinking every line. I was so stiff and unnatural, trying to be perfect, and looking back, it's cringy, but I posted it. And you know what? I had 3 comments in the first year, my mom, my older sister, and some random person. But that experience taught me just to press record and post, even if it's ugly. If I hadn't broken through that perfectionism, I'd probably still be sitting here planning my perfect video instead of having 10,000 videos and 4 million subscribers. So I call myself a recovering perfectionist now because that tendency never fully goes away. You just learn to override it with action. So I want you to override your perfectionism starting today. Start before you feel ready. Launch that Etsy shop, even if your product line isn't 100% polished. Post that video, even if your video could be better. Tell your first 5 clients that you are open for business, even if you're still figuring things out. Yes, you might stumble. It will definitely be messy, but you'll learn more from one real step forward than 6 months of theory crafting in your living room. Psychologists even have a term for getting stuck in planning mode: analysis paralysis. You think you're being diligent, but really you're just procrastinating because you're scared. So let's call it what it is. Perfectionism is just fear in fancy shoes. You're afraid of being judged or failing, so you dress it up as I'm not ready yet. So I'm giving you a loving kick forward right now. You are ready enough. You don't need to know everything to begin. You'll figure it out as you go, I promise. Action creates
clarity. As you start, you'll refine your strategy in real time. The big company you admire, they started in a garage with a clunky prototype. My first videos were terrible, but you can't get to video number 100 without making a few awkward ones first. So get version 1.0 out there. Embrace the motto, progress over perfection. Your mantra is launch and then adjust. This is how every successful entrepreneur turns a hobby into a career. They start. They launch that Etsy shop, the YouTube channel, the small weekend catering gig. It might flop or it might fly, but either way, you learn and you move forward. As the saying goes, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to become great. So do it now, do it imperfectly, but do it. Step number 3, share your passion and ask for help. Don't go it alone. Turning your hobby into a business is hard, but doing it alone is almost impossible. You need to build a support network around your passion. So that means sharing your journey. It means connecting with others. It means asking for help when you need it. And this step is both practical and mental. Practical because opportunities come through people. Mental because it forces you to shed the lone wolf mentality that might be holding you back. And I'll admit, this is a tough one for me. I still have a hard time asking for help. I'm an introvert. Reaching out is not my natural tendency. And especially in the early days of my startup, I was too embarrassed to tell anyone that I was struggling. I was making $300 a month, felt like a complete failure. But I kept it all inside. I thought I have to figure this out on my own. And that was a huge mistake. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Don't do it alone because you'll probably fail. You'll quit along the way because it's too devastatingly lonely. And that's the truth. When you're grinding in isolation, every setback hits you harder and every doubt becomes louder. I almost quit on my business because I felt so alone in it. The moment that I finally swallowed my pride and I asked for advice from a mentor, things started to turn around. I learned that asking for help is not a weakness. It's actually just a success strategy. So let me give you a quick story to show how important this is. A while back, I was on a flight to Puerto Rico to speak at an event. The guy next to me tried to chat, but I did my usual introvert thing. I put on my headphones and basically sent a leave me alone vibes. Small talk on a plane is like my worst nightmare. I'm thinking, please don't let this stranger talk to me. So we fly in silence. And when we land, I see the same guy checking in at the hotel for the entrepreneur mastermind that I was speaking at. And turns out he was exactly my kind of person, an entrepreneur headed to the same event. And we could have had a great 2-hour conversation on that flight, sharing ideas, maybe forming a friendship or some kind of partnership, who knows? But I shut the door on that before it even opened. I remembered standing there thinking, wow, I literally avoided a golden opportunity because I was too shy to say hello. So lesson learned. Now I try to engage even just a little because you never know who's sitting next to you. Maybe your future business partner, maybe your next investor, or simply a friend who understands your journey. So what does it mean for you? Find your people. If your hobby is baking cupcakes, join a local bakers club or an online forum for baking entrepreneurs. If you love coding, go to hackathons or meetups. If you're a dancer, start hanging around dance studios or in online dance communities. Get yourself in the mix where others share that passion, and then open your mouth. Share what you're doing. Tell your friends and family that you're starting a business. Yes, that can be vulnerable. You're effectively saying, I'm trying something big and I could fail. But you'll be surprised how many people will cheer you on or introduce you to someone or give you that one idea or client that kicks things off. And please, get comfortable asking for help. This is still one of my biggest growth points. Even after I've had some success, I still struggle with asking. But funny story, a few years ago, a friend of the channel, Brendan Burchard, invited me to his mastermind at his house. And I walk in and I'm surrounded by all these legends, people that I look up to, and part of me feels like I didn't belong. And at one point, Brendan noticed that I was being quiet and he called me out in a kind way. And he said, Evan, you give so much to people, you gotta make sure you come up with an ask. What do you need help with? And he pushed me to receive, not just to give. And that was uncomfortable for me, but I did it. And I asked that group for advice on growing my YouTube channel and on my book and dealing with some self-doubts that I had. And guess what? The feedback I got was pure gold. And one idea from that room saved me months of trial and error. And it reinforced for me that entrepreneurship is a team sport. Even if you're a solo entrepreneur, you need mentors, your peers, your cheerleaders along the way. Don't isolate. Communicate. Show your passion to the world. If you keep it hidden, no one else can help you, and you might miss connections. You will miss connections that will change your life. Collaboration and community will carry you further than you can carry yourself. So ask yourself, who can I reach out to this week?
for support or for feedback? What forum or group can I join? Who out there is doing what I want to do? And how can I connect with them? Don't let pride or fear of rejection stop you. Most people love to talk about their shared passions. They'll be happy to help an enthusiastic newbie because it reminds them of why they started too. So send that email, attend that meetup, comment on that fellow creator's post. You never know where one hello might lead. Step number 4, be patient and persist. Play the long game. Turning your hobby into a full-fledged career will take time. There's almost no way around this. The overnight success is a myth. Most overnight successes were grinding in the dark for years. So commit to the long game. That means staying patient and, more importantly, staying persistent when your progress is slow. So reality check from my own journey. People see my YouTube channel now with the millions of subscribers, etc., and think I have some sort of magic touch. They don't see that for years I was shouting into what felt like the void. It took me 5 years on YouTube to crack 2,000 subscribers, 5 years of what some would consider a failure of a number. But in another 5 years, I got to 1 million. But that's a decade of work to get to what creators can potentially get in a year. And in the first few years, my subscriber growth was so slow that I thought I'd be 90 years old before I'd ever get a gold play button. I remember uploading videos, I got 30 views and 50 views. And it's hard not to compare yourself to others when they're blowing past you. But I just had a mindset shift that saved me. I stopped obsessing over the numbers and started celebrating the people. I told myself, okay, 50 people watch this video, but 50 people took the time out of their day to hear my message. Imagine I was giving a speech at a local library and 50 people showed up to listen. I'd be thrilled. And so that perspective changed everything. I started focusing on who I was serving instead of who I wasn't. So instead of feeling like, oh, only a few dozen views, I felt grateful and energized to help those few dozen people. I focused on serving the audience I did have, not the audience that I didn't. And slowly those 50 turned into 100 and then 1,000 and then 1 million. And what kept me going in the dark days was purpose and love for the process. So I generally enjoy making videos. And I was on a mission to solve a problem that I struggle with myself, lack of belief. And mentorship for entrepreneurs. Even when the external rewards were small, the internal rewards were there. I was growing, I was learning, I was getting better in my field, my craft, the videos. You must find that same well of patience and persistence. Expect that the first year or two might be slow. That's normal. It's okay. Do not quit your passion just because it's not printing money immediately or because your Etsy shop only got a few sales in your first month. If you truly love it and you see even a glimmer of impact, keep going. Adjust your approach maybe, but don't give up on the whole game. I'll give you an example from my own persistence. My salsa business partner, Alex. When Alex started as a dance student at my studio, he was awful. I mean it. The guy was the worst student in the class. And we have a system for if you're not ready to move to the next level, you get held back to repeat the level. Now, it's actually pretty rare. Like almost nobody gets that. Less than 1% of students ever get held back. But Alex was held back at almost every level. Can you imagine that? Most people would have been so embarrassed they quit after the first time. But Alex loved dancing. He didn't care if he wasn't a natural. He kept showing up. He actually thanked us for holding him back because it meant that he could continue to improve on his fundamentals of dancing. And that mindset blew me away. It was awesome. Fast forward, after being our most persistently terrible student, Alex eventually improved. He started assisting classes, then teaching. And today, Alex is our head instructor who helps run the dance studio. He had a career in sales and he left it to pursue dancing. Talk about turning a hobby into a career. He literally went from the worst in the class to leading the entire school. How? Through grit, through showing up, even when it was hard and humbling. That's the power of persistence. And science backs this up too. Psychologists have a term, grit, coined by Angela Duckworth, which is basically the mix of passion and perseverance. Studies have shown that grit, which is just sticking with something that you care about over the long term, is a better predictor of success than talent or IQ. What does that mean? It means that if you're consistent and you keep improving, you can surpass the naturally talented people who just give up early. Consistency beats intensity every time. I take the everyday hustler over the 1 week genius any day. So commit to a process. Give yourself time to succeed. I'm not saying quit your job tomorrow and live in your car while you wait for your hobby business to bloom, right? Be smart financially, build it on the side if you have to, but emotionally, you need to give this endeavor some patience. Set a longer horizon. I'm going to give this my all for 3 years instead of 3 weeks. When setbacks happen, and they will, remember why you're doing this. We'll get to that in the next step. But remind yourself that every master was once a disaster. Every pro was once an amateur. Your slow progress is not a sign of failure. It's an indicator that you're on your journey. As long as you don't stop, you're still in the game. And sometimes slow growth is setting you up for explosive growth later. My channel crawled for years and then boom, it started to take off. And those early years were absolutely necessary to build my foundation, my skills, my content library. If I'd quit in year 3 or year 4, you wouldn't be watching this right now. And one more tip, celebrate those small wins. Did you make your first $100 from your art? Awesome. Take a picture of that PayPal notification. Did you get your first client testimonial? Amazing. Frame it on your wall. Treat these little victories as breadcrumbs that lead you forward. Cherish them. They'll keep you positive and motivated while you wait for the bigger break to come. Step number 5, stay connected to your why. Make it about purpose, not just profit. So as you turn your hobby into a career, there will be a point where it starts to feel like work. Anytime you monetize something, there's pressure. Now there's deadlines, there's customers, there's finances that enter the mix. And the danger is you can get so caught up in the business side that you forget why you loved it in the first place. So to prevent this burnout and truly succeed, you need to anchor in your purpose. Keep it mission driven, not just money driven. Don't get me wrong, you absolutely should aim to make money and lots of it. Money is a fantastic servant. It gives you freedom, it validates that you're providing value, but money cannot be the only reason that you're doing this. If it is, the first rough patch, you're gonna quit. When the money is lean or the sales aren't coming in, you'll have no reason to continue. But if you have a deeper why, a mission, you'll push through walls to see it happen. So for me, that mission was baked into why I started creating content for entrepreneurs. Remember my first company struggle? How much pain I went through trying to build a business as a clueless 19-year-old. I felt so alone and so close to quitting so many times that I eventually survived and sold my startup, but it was brutally hard. And that pain became my purpose. I thought, if I can make it even a little bit easier for the next entrepreneur in my shoes, I should. Your purpose comes from your pain. I like to say that. The thing that hurt you or challenges that you overcame is exactly what you can help others with. So my hobby of consuming entrepreneur stories, tips, strategies that turn into a mission to share those with the world so others don't have to struggle as much. That's what kept me going in those early years of creating content for basically no one. I wasn't driven by ad revenue or fame. I was driven by the thought that maybe one video could save an aspiring entrepreneur from quitting. That meant something to me. And guess what? That's exactly what ended up happening. I started getting emails and comments from people saying things like, Evan, your video kept me from giving up on my business, or this interview inspired me to finally start my dream. And that became motivation for my soul, right? So connect your hobby to service. Ask yourself, how does doing this passion as a career help others or impact the world positively? So if you're a musician, maybe your music brings joy or helps people feel seen. If you're making something, your products might bring people comfort or confidence. If you turn your baking hobby into a bakery, you're not just selling cupcakes, you're giving people moments of happiness and celebration. You tie your work to something that matters. Debbie Fields, who founded Mrs. Fields Cookies, said it perfectly. Once you find something you love to do, be the best at doing it. And she also said, the greatest failure is to not try. Her deeper purpose was spreading joy through cookies and proving naysayers wrong. And it drove her to build a cookie empire. Another part of purpose is keeping your own passion alive. So protect the love you have for your hobby. Sometimes when it becomes a business, you might start doing aspects you don't enjoy, like paperwork and marketing, etc. And that's normal, but always make time to reconnect with the fun, the creative part that made you start in the first place. So I like to tell creators, make sure that you're still creating things for you, not just for the algorithm or the market. So in my case, I still make videos on topics I'm personally curious about or struggling with, not just what I think will get views. I thought this was an important video. We'll see how it does, but I wanted to make it because I thought it was important personally. I make content that I need to hear, and it turns out that a lot of people need to hear it too sometimes. And that keeps me engaged and growing too, personally. It's also okay to evolve your vision as you grow. So maybe your hobby career opens new opportunities. Great. Follow the ones that actually excite you. Just always do check-ins. Does this still align with what you care about? If you ever find yourself feeling like your passion business is becoming soulless, pause, refocus, remember why you started. Maybe even write down a mission statement or a simple sentence of why you do what you do and put it on your wall. Make it somewhere in front of you. When things get tough or confusing, look at it. That why will help you cut through the noise and reset you on the right path. And one more thing. Acknowledge yourself for the courage it takes to do this. Seriously, most people will never even attempt to turn their hobby into a career. It takes guts, it takes belief, by even trying, by putting yourself out there, you're already in the elite minority of people who are trying to live life on their own terms. And that is actually something to be really proud of, no matter what stage you're at. So use that as positive reinforcement. You're doing what most only daydream about. So keep going. Your hobby can become your career. And when it does, it's one of the most fulfilling feelings in the world. You wake up excited to work. You give it more energy and love, and that translates into better results. And people will feel that energy. Your customers will sense that you genuinely care about what you're doing, and they'll support you because of it. And in turn, you're making a living, or maybe even a fortune, doing what you love. And that's the win-win outcome that we're after. You're happy, and you're making others happy or solving their problems too. And you get paid for it along the way. It's a beautiful cycle. And it all starts with the decision to take your hobby seriously and go for it. Now, I've given you a roadmap here: mindset, action, community, patience, purpose. These 5 steps are not one and done. You'll revisit them often, but if you follow them, you will be miles ahead of where you are now. So remember Walt Disney or Alicia Schaefer or my friend Alex, their success didn't happen by accident or overnight. It happened because they dared to believe in their little hobbies and stuck with them. You can do the same. Do one thing that moves your dream forward right now. It doesn't matter if it's small. The journey of 1,000 miles, right? One step. You've got this. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. And your future self is already smiling back at you saying, thank you for starting. Thank you for watching, and more importantly, for being the type of person who actually wants to do something with their life. Most people won't even make it this far into a video like this, but you did, which tells me that you're serious. You're building that belief and that knowledge, and now turn that knowledge into action. Ready to discover the skills that could skyrocket your success this year? These aren't academic theories, they're practical, in-demand abilities that you can learn without a formal degree. Each skill taps into emerging market needs, offers entrepreneurial leverage, and has scalable impact. Let's dive in and imagine the possibilities each one opens up for your business and income. Skill number 1, AI integration and automation, turning intelligence into income. Okay, so what is it? Here we're gonna leverage AI and automation tools to streamline operations, create smarter products, or even launch AI-driven services. It's using machines to do the heavy thinking or doing for you, from chatbots that handle customer inquiries to AI systems that optimize your marketing or inventory in real time. Here's why it matters this year. The AI revolution isn't coming. It's right here now, and it's rewriting the rules of business. By 2024, 78% of organizations reported using AI in some capacity, up from just 55% the year before. Companies are pouring investments into AI at record levels, over $109 billion in the US in 2024, with nearly $34 billion globally into generative AI. And they desperately need people who can make it work. The catch? There's a huge talent gap. 94% of business leaders say they face AI-related skill shortages on their teams, with 1 in 3 reporting massive gaps in critical AI roles. What does that mean? Demand is way bigger than supply, and that means opportunities for you. Entrepreneurs who are AI savvy can step in and command premium prices for their solutions. This isn't just for tech companies either. From healthcare to finance, AI is being woven into daily operations. Even the FDA has approved hundreds of AI-enabled medical devices, and self-driving cars are logging thousands of rides right now. The world is racing to adopt AI, and those who can ride that wave stand to reap huge rewards. So, how can entrepreneurs profit? Think of AI as a force multiplier for your business. An entrepreneur with AI skills can automate super boring processes, freeing up time to scale faster. You can make smarter products with better features. You can offer AI consulting and integration services to companies who are willing to pay for help. So for example, a small e-commerce founder might use AI to personalize their shopping experience for each customer automatically, leading to happier customers and higher sales. Or maybe you're launching a micro SaaS tool that uses AI, like a AI scheduling assistant or content generator. Even a one-person business can serve thousands of customers when AI is doing most of the work. The evidence is everywhere. Companies using AI report higher productivity and lower costs, and many have seen AI-driven projects boost their bottom line. One entrepreneur created an AI-powered copywriting service and landed hundreds of clients globally, essentially earning money 24/7 as the AI works for them. The key is that AI is practical and learnable. With countless online courses and tools, you can start applying AI even if you're not a programmer. Many AI platforms are actually plug and play. So this year, knowing how to harness AI is is like having a superpower. It's not just about efficiency, it's about unlocking new income streams. From automating your marketing to building the next ChatGPT-like app for a niche industry, AI integration is a skill that can pay off almost immediately. So embrace it and you ride the biggest tech wave of our era straight towards profit. Now, AI might be the brains, but data is the backbone. So next, let's look at the skills that turn raw numbers into gold. Skill number 2, data analytics and business intelligence, profiting from big data. Okay, so what is it? It's the skill of collecting, analyzing, and drawing smart insights from data to drive business decisions. So data analytics is like having X-ray vision for your business. It lets you see the patterns and trends that normal people's eyes would miss. So business intelligence, or BI, goes hand in hand, focusing on those who are using insights to make strategic calls. This skill isn't about math genius, it's about knowing which numbers matter and how to translate them into action. So why it matters right now in this year, we live in a world that has tons of data. Every click, every purchase, every interaction, it can be tracked, but few people know how to turn that ocean of information into actual real value, and that's where you can come in. Companies have realized that gut instinct isn't enough. 81% of businesses now believe data should be at the heart of all decision making, and they're willing to pay handsomely for those who can deliver results. Why? Because data-driven businesses simply perform better. They're more productive and more profitable on average than their less data-savvy peers. Companies that truly embrace analytics have seen efficiencies boost as high as 60 to 80% in operations. It's not just about giant corporations. Even small startups benefit when they can quickly identify which product feature is a hit or which marketing channel brings the best ROI. And this is a very clear trend. The global big data analytics market is massive. It's over $270 billion in value and still growing. And there's a shortage of professionals who can wrangle data effectively. Executives are literally hungry for insights. A recent survey found 88% of business leaders rank data analytics as a top priority for upskilling in their organization. So this year, being fluent in data is like having a secret weapon in your market. You base decisions on facts, not guesses, which is a recipe for winning. So how can entrepreneurs use it? Data analytics can make you rich in two ways. First, by applying it to your own business. You can pinpoint your most profitable customers. You can find inefficiencies to cut. You can test pricing strategies with actual hard evidence. For example, Netflix famously used data analytics to save $1 billion a year by recommending exactly what viewers wanted. So imagine bringing that kind of insight into your business decisions. Secondly, you can sell this skill as a service to others. Many companies, especially smaller ones, they drown in data but have no idea what to do with it. You could come in as a freelance analyst or consultant, turn their data into a clear action plan, and charge premium fees for delivering growth or savings. So picture telling your client, I found a way to boost your sales 20% by analyzing your customer behavior, and then actually doing it. There are real case studies of entrepreneurs doing just this. One startup founder used business intelligence tools to optimize her inventory and eliminated over $100,000 in annual waste, directly padding her profits. Another built a consulting agency that helps local businesses set up simple dashboards and KPIs, and within a year, he was booking 5-figure contracts regularly. The bottom line is data analytics is practical and learnable. There's tons of online courses, YouTube videos, tools that are now drag and drop. Master it, and you can either supercharge your own business or become the go-to data guru who turns others' confusion into cash. So in this year, data, it's the new oil, and knowing how to drill for it is an extremely high income skill. Now, having great data is pointless if you can't attract customers. That's where our next skill comes in. It's time to cash in on the art of getting noticed. Skill number 3, digital marketing and growth hacking, scaling visibility into wealth. So what is it? Digital marketing is a skill of getting customers for people's businesses online through channels like social media, through search engines, through email, through LLMs, and more. Growth hacking is a trendy way to say creative, fast-paced marketing experimentation, right? So finding clever, low-cost tactics to drive growth or sales for your business or other people's. This skill is about making your business impossible to ignore on the internet and turning that attention into revenue. So it covers everything from running targeted ads, optimizing a website to rank on Google or GPT, crafting viral content, analyzing campaign data to tweak for better results, making YouTube videos to spread your message. Why it matters this year is you could have the best product or service in the world, but if nobody knows about it, you don't make a dime. This year, digital marketing remains one of the highest skills for entrepreneurs because online attention is the currency of our kingdom. Just look at the numbers. Global digital ad spending is projected to hit $843 billion. Yes, billionaires with a B. Companies large and small are pouring money into Facebook ads, Google searches, TikTok videos, wherever their audience lives online, and they need experts who know how to navigate this landscape. The job outlook also reflects that demand. Marketing roles are expected to grow by 10%, faster than the average for all careers. And in particular, there's surging demand for people skilled in areas like marketing analytics, content creation, and SEO, SEM, because every business wants to rank number one on Google and decode the algorithms of ChatGPT. The beauty of digital marketing is that it's practical and learnable. No MBA required, just practice, creativity, and keeping up with the trends. We're also seeing new frontiers like AI-driven marketing. Over 50% of businesses are already using generative AI to improve their operations. All this means that entrepreneurial marketers who stay sharp can out-hustle their bigger competitors. So in this year, if you know how to get the right message to the right people at the right time online, you basically have a license to print money. So how can you use it as an entrepreneur? Digital marketing is often the make or break skill that determines if you scale or if you stay stuck. And so if you master it and you can acquire customers on demand, you can enter new markets quickly, you can even build a personal brand that multiplies all of your opportunities. Take, for example, an online fitness coach who leverages social media marketing. By mastering YouTube and Instagram, she grows her audience to hundreds of thousands and launches a fitness app that earns 7 figures online. Or think of a small local business owner who uses savvy Google search ads and SEO to dominate local search traffic, right? Their store goes from unknown to the go-to place in town. And these aren't hypotheticals. These things are happening right now, all around us. As an entrepreneur, you can also sell digital marketing expertise. If you're great at, say, SEO or Facebook ads, you can freelance or start an agency. Businesses are eager to pay because they've seen the ROI. For every dollar spent on email marketing can yield $36 in return, as various studies have shown. So a skilled email marketer is worth their weight in gold. Another real-world use case, an entrepreneur growth hacked his startup by creating a referral program that went viral. So think Dropbox's free storage for referral strategy, acquiring millions of users without a massive ad budget. That's growth hacking in action. So digital marketing lets you scale up quickly. An ad campaign can reach millions of people overnight. A piece of content that catches fire can bring in floods of traffic. You're not limited by your local area or your storefront. And with analytics tools, you can measure every penny and double down on what works, like truly data-driven marketing. And the emotional side, it's pretty thrilling to see your business blow up because of a campaign that you created. The control is right here. It's in your hands. With consumer attention shifting every year, today it might be YouTube or LinkedIn newsletters. Tomorrow, who knows? Entrepreneurs who have the skill will ride each wave and outpace their competition. Digital marketing and growth hacking are high income skills because they directly drive revenue, and mastering them means you can virtually write your own success story in this digital age. So now you've got the customer's attention. Now we need to convince them to open their wallets. The next skill is all about the art of persuasion, and it's one of the oldest and most profitable tricks in the book. Skill number 4, persuasive communication and storytelling, selling anything to anyone. So what is it? This is the skill of conveying ideas in a compelling way. So that's through sales pitches and marketing copy or even everyday networking conversations. It includes sales and negotiation, right? Convincing a customer or partner to say yes, copywriting, which is writing words that sell from ads to landing pages, and storytelling, crafting a narrative that hooks people in emotionally. It's how to talk or write so people listen, trust you, and feel motivated to act, like clicking the buy now or signing a contract. Why it matters this year is no matter how advanced technology gets, the power of a good story and genuine connection never goes out of style. In fact, as automation rises, those human-centered skills become more valuable. This year's marketplace is hyper-stimulated. Consumers see thousands of ads and posts a day, so the ability to cut through that noise with a resonant message is pure gold. 68% of consumers say that a brand's story influences their buying decisions. People remember stories up to 22 times more than plain facts. That's huge for entrepreneurs trying to build a memorable brand or pitch to investors. And yes, we see evidence that storytelling and communication translate to better results. Marketing campaigns built around a narrative can boost conversion rates by 30% or more. On the sales side, companies are actively looking for leaders with strong social influence and communication skills. Even the World Economic Forum highlighted leadership and social influence as a top skill for the future. Why? Because a person who can rally a team, win over a client, negotiate a profitable deal, they are invaluable. Also, let's talk money. Jobs like sales executives or copywriters are often high paying because they directly bring in revenue. A top performing tech sales rep, for example, can earn a 6-figure base salary plus another 6 figures in commissions. Copywriters who crack the code of persuasion are similarly rewarded. Many freelance copywriters charge $100 plus an hour, and businesses happily pay because one killer sales page or email sequence can generate hundreds of thousands in sales. Words are powerful, and this year, those who can wield that power expertly will find that it translates into serious income. So how can you use it as an entrepreneur? You're always selling, not just your products, but your vision, your brand, even selling yourself as a trustworthy partner. Persuasive communication turns this into a superpower. Mastering storytelling means you can craft a brand narrative that makes customers feel something and remember you. So for example, instead of just saying, our shoe is comfortable, you share the story of a customer who, thanks to your shoe, ran their first marathon pain-free to honor a loved one, right? Now you're not just selling a shoe, you're selling inspiration, you're selling identity. That's the difference that makes people lifetime fans. On a more practical side, entrepreneurs skilled in communication, they'll just close more deals. So imagine you're negotiating with a supplier or an investor. If you can clearly articulate your value and persuade them effectively, you'll likely get better terms, maybe tens of thousands saved or gained in one conversation. If you sell services or high-ticket products, strong sales techniques like consultative selling or solutions-based selling is key. Today's customers expect you to understand their needs and tailor your offer. Being able to do that can literally double or triple your closing rate. So for example, you can monetize a skill by offering freelance copywriting or sales consulting. Great copywriters are in short supply, even with AI writing tools around, because someone has to give the AI the right emotional direction. Businesses will pay top dollar for emails and ads that actually convert. One excellent sales page can be worth millions to a company. So paying a writer $10,000 a craft, it's a no-brainer for some companies. Skilled copywriters routinely earn over $150,000 a year once they build a reputation. And don't forget content creators and influencers. They are essentially storytellers too, turning authentic communication into followers and income from ads and sponsorships or product sales. Emotions drive decisions. And if you can tap into emotions with genuine communication, you can drive decisions in your favor. So this year, mastering persuasive communication and storytelling isn't just a nice to have. It's often the difference between a business that just fizzles out and one that actually becomes a phenomenon. We've covered brains, data, marketing, charm. Our final skill might not sound as glamorous, but it's a massive moneymaker in today's world. It's all about protecting the wealth that you're building, and it's an area where demand is exploding. Skill number 5, cybersecurity and data protection, guarding the digital goldmine. Okay, so what is it? Cybersecurity is the skill of keeping data, software systems safe from hackers and breaches. It's being the digital bodyguard for businesses. This includes understanding how to prevent attacks, so think malware, phishing, ransomware, knowing how to plug vulnerabilities in networks or websites, and making sure that companies follow best practices so sensitive information like consumer data is not stolen or compromised. It's deeply technical for those who specialize, but at a high level, it's very learn by doing, problem-solving field, and you don't need a PhD to get good at it, just solid training and experience and a curious mind. Data protection goes hand in hand, so think dealing with proper handling and compliance, like the laws of the land. So for an entrepreneur, having cybersecurity skills means that you can both protect your own venture, but also potentially offer security solutions to other people as a business. So why does it matter this year? One word: risk. As businesses digitize every aspect of their operations, the risk of cyber attacks have skyrocketed, and so have the costs. The average cost of a single data breach hit an eye-watering $4.9 million globally. So for a small or mid-sized company, that kind of hit can be fatal. That's why firms are desperate for cybersecurity expertise and why it's become a high-income skill, high-demand skill. We're in a situation where there aren't nearly enough cybersecurity pros to go around. The global cybersecurity workforce is millions short. One recent study showed about 4.8 million cybersecurity roles are unfulfilled worldwide. There are millions of openings and not enough people with the skills, a gap that widened by 19% in just 1 year. So talent shortage is actually the number one obstacle companies face in securing their systems. This kind of supply-demand mismatch is exactly what drives up incomes for those who have the skill. So companies have even started to prioritize this in budgets because they simply cannot afford the alternative. Companies without adequate security staff end up paying on average $1.76 $1.6 million more per breach due to slower response and damage control. But just beyond like corporate IT departments, every entrepreneur with an online presence needs at least basic cybersecurity savviness. Cyber threats this year are more sophisticated. Yes, hackers are using AI too. So on top of that, customer trust and regulations require more solid data protection. You don't want to be that startup that leaked user data and lost credibility overnight. So from ransomware attacks, shutting down hospitals, to small businesses getting scammed from phishing, the threat is universal. This urgency is driving a huge market for cybersecurity products and consultants. Global spending on cybersecurity is rising every year, tens of billions of dollars annually, as businesses effectively say, please take our money and keep us safe. If you can step in with the skills to do so, you will be richly rewarded. So as some evidence, top freelance cybersecurity experts report rates of $200 to $300 an hour, and experienced security consultants can make over $500,000 a year by serving multiple clients. So it's no surprise that when the stakes are this high, companies are willing to pay for peace of mind. So how can entrepreneurs use it? If you're building your own company, cybersecurity skills are like an insurance policy and a selling point. You can save a ton of money by implementing security measures yourself instead of hiring some expensive firms, and avoid disaster that could derail your business. But also, being more security minded from day one can be a competitive advantage. You can use that in your marketing. Customers and partners will feel safer dealing with you. So for example, an e-commerce entrepreneur who knows how to secure their payment systems and protect customer data not only avoids costly breaches, but can market their store as ultra secure, which gains more customer trust and extra sales in an era of privacy concerns. On the other side, cybersecurity is also an amazing service and a business opportunity. So given that huge talent gap, you could start a consultancy or freelance as a virtual CISO, as Chief Information Security Officer, for multiple small companies that can't afford one in-house. They get your expertise part-time. You get a hefty paycheck. Some entrepreneurs are launching cybersecurity startups. So whether that's developing a niche security software tool, or you're offering specialized training, there's even demand for things like ethical hackers who companies pay to test their defenses. We've seen solo consultants charge retainers in the thousands per month per client just to be on call for security incidents. And with new data privacy laws popping up all the time, like Europe's GDPR and others, businesses are scrambling for guidance, which is another avenue for advisory services you could offer if you're well-versed in compliance. So the key point is this: threats are growing and talent is scarce. If you equip yourself with this skill, you become part of a highly sought after elite group of people. Not only can you command higher fees because preventing a multi-million-dollar breach is essentially worth a high payout, but you also carry the confidence that you can protect the empire that you're building too. In a time where a single hack can wipe out years of effort, the entrepreneurs who understand cybersecurity will safeguard their wealth and even turn security into a profitable service for others. It's truly a high impact, high income skill for today's age. So each of these 5 skills, AI integration, data analytics, digital marketing, persuasive communication, and cybersecurity, hits the sweet spot of being practical, learnable, and immediately valuable this year. They align with the biggest technology shifts and market needs that we are seeing right now. AI is everywhere. Data is the king. Online growth is non-negotiable. Human connection still seals a deal, and security underpins it all. The best part is you don't need a fancy degree to get started with any of these. There are YouTube videos, boot camps, online courses, communities for each skill that you can start learning right now. Entrepreneurs who invest time in mastering even 1 or 2 of these will position themselves to generate wealth in the short term. We're talking within a year or 2, not decades, and it's all backed by trends and numbers that I've already cited throughout this entire video. The market is hungry for these abilities. So ask yourself, which of these skills speaks to you right now? The entrepreneurs getting rich this year aren't necessarily the ones with the most funding or the fanciest ideas. Often they're the ones who have the right skills at the right time and execute relentlessly. Now you know 5 of those right skills. It's time to choose, learn, and leap. Here's to your success, because this year might be the year your hard work and high income skills make you the next great success story. And congratulations, you're 1 video closer to who you're meant to be. Believe. For 3 hours of life-changing insights for your personal growth, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
If you feel stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure about your next move, this video is for you. Most people, they don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they never build the clarity, the discipline, and momentum